I made it only 4 minutes late. Welcome. Let the timekeepers of the universe do their thing. I've learned that. And I'm going to now trademark that and call it my own, because that's called the let the timekeepers theory. I coined it right now. And I will be making tote bags. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me. What an exciting topic we have today. There's two topics. We got the M&Ms. The M&M show. Let me lower myself. The M&M show. We got Matthew McConaughey. I guess MMR. Matthew McConaughey and Mel Robbins. Okay, that's what we're talking about today. Matthew McConaughey is going to be quick. We're going to go through that first. It's funny. It's bizarre. It's weird. He's a grifter. Welcome to the club, Matthew. Welcome to the club. He's full blown now at this point, in my humble opinion. He wants your money. He's no more being cast in, standout hits like Interstellar and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Now he is having to make his own bread at home, sourdough style. And it's disappointing because I used to like him as an actor, and now I can't. I can't like him as an actor because he's trying to fleece everybody with his really cool and awesome such. So we'll start with him, and then we'll go into the main story, which is Mel Robbins, copyright plagiarist? Shocker. Who would have thunk basic ideas would be taken? Okay, this is what I think about Mel Robbins. Here's a little preview. She's so simplistic. She can't even come up with her own simple ideas. She's so unoriginal that she cannot even come up with a concept so simple and so she has to steal it from other people, which is crazy. And of course, monetize, trademark, copyright, all of the above to maximize profit from it. So it's not just like, oh, I'm sharing this information because I just want everyone to experience it. And I have a big platform, so that's why I did it. No, she's actually taking away from the people who created it, the person who created this concept called Let Them. She's taking that away from them by copywriting the word so that she will get paid if you try to monetize on something that you yourself came up with. So we'll talk about that, because that I think is a hot piping tea topic, which I am not surprised about in any way. To me, Mel Robbins is like a grifter, fleecer, a liar, an exaggerator, a simple I don't know, I'm not calling her a simpleton, but she's smart, actually. She's actually very vindictively smart, that she'll take a concept. She's targeting people who are, down and out, like we talked about last week, and trying to manipulate them by having them give her money. And she's got enough effing money by this point. Mel Robbins is like loaded. She was a lawyer for like 30, 40 years or something before, not before she started this life coaching, but she's been a lawyer for a long, long time. Her husband was rich. He started a marketing company in Manhattan. They owned 2 restaurants. This is before she became famous and had the TED Talk and all of that and became, self-help grifter. Her sob story. Oh, I was $80,000 in debt. Yeah, because you were like making an investment in like a huge project and you didn't have the money for a few months while the investment came through. Like, that's what the actual story is. But she'll make it seem like, I was just like you, a stay-at-home mom with problems, bitch. Sorry. Anyways, okay, let's start with the less annoying, like infuriating one. Let's start with Matthew. We'll go in slowly to this topic today. We'll dip our toes into this world, and then
when I read this book,
knew I always wanted to be closer with.
Oh God, you heard nothing, right? I'm spoiling the show. Okay, let's start. Matthew McConaughey. Because every red light eventually turns green. ... Unless it's broken. Then what do you do? No, that's too complicated. If anything's really broken, then the advice no longer applies. You must be rich already. Okay, if you remember a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, Matthew McConaughey teamed up with the worst people possible. The cringiest self-help bros in the business, Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. And Matthew McConaughey was on Dean Graziosi's, stage, essentially. It was all marketed as if it was Matthew McConaughey's event, but in reality, it was those two's events, those sharks. And basically, he gave like sermon-like advice about life, which was all, this is on the internet, I think YouTube, Facebook, whatever. And it was all a large sales pitch to join his program called Road Trip. Okay, it was like $400 to buy it. And it was, 12 modules of McConaughey. And, Matthew's going to teach you how to live life. Like, give me a freaking break. This is how I felt. Watching it. And so then for like the last year and a half, he's been doing additional, so the whole course that he was selling and hawking on this live event was pre-recorded. So that was done. So if you bought that day, God rest your soul. But if you did buy that, then you would have had instant access and would have watched his, performance or whatever. And if you remember, it was on a stage. I think it might be here. I could probably pull it up. Here it is. He sat in front of a fake camper.
Thank you. One last time.
With smoke coming out of a fire, which they're in a studio, obviously. He's got bongos. He's got a remote, a green lights surfboard. This is where he taught life lessons. Very down to earth guy, a multi-million-dollar video shoot in a probably LA studio to get you to understand like how life can be tough sometimes. Okay, give me a break. So this is just his foray into the self-help space. I'll let it play. It's only 40 seconds. Tell me if you understand what the point of this is, because back then I didn't know. Today I'm racking my brain as to what he is talking about here. I'll shut up now.
No. Thank you. One last time. My family thought I was off my rocker. I remember my brothers called an intervention. They said, "What is your major malfunction, little brother?" I wondered if they were right. But I had to admit to myself, I couldn't waver from my decision. Why? I had to find out.
What? Like what? You had a major malfunction. Your family would have had an intervention. I had to find out. To me, were you on mushrooms when you wrote this? And then on marijuana when you recited this? Like I'm not, the sentence is not syntax for me. Am I too shallow? I don't know. But that was a promo, if you couldn't tell. I know it's a little bit deep and poetic. That was a promo for his event. Yeah, this was April 2023. That, again, was a sales event for Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins, because if you bought the training or whatever that he was offering, Matthew McConaughey was offering, then you automatically got signed up for mastermind.com, which is, another grift. And you have to, beg to be let out of it, I guess. So that's where we started with Matthew. That's how he got involved in my YouTube channel. And since then, so he's been doing, I still get the emails because they will never stop. The emails come all the time. And he's been doing a little workshop here and there, a little live stream, a little whatever on Dean Graziosi's, platform. But I think maybe now that's ended. It seems like that was like a 2-year, one year contract or something that he was, beholden to these people. So now it seems like he's starting his own grift on his own platform using ConvertKit, which is, I think, a email, marketing software. And that's what he's trying to get you to sign up for now, for a new program. Now it's free for now. The keyword for now. So that's where we find ourselves today. Before I go on, though, please say thank you to everyone collectively to Arian Bates. Arian Bates, thank you so much. Arian Bates says, so glad to see Mel Robbins on the show. For some reason, I thought you covered her already. Must have been another grifty blonde. Glad you're back. I've talked about Mel before many times through the years, especially on Cringefluencers, which was a channel that Camelia Kazan and I used to do together, which was the good old days when I had free time and more time to dedicate. But anyways, we did a whole episode about Mel Robbins and her like background and, you know, her fake rags to riches story. So if you have time, please, you know, it's still up there. And then also I talked about Mel a lot when Dave died, because Mel Robbins made it seem like her and Dave Hollis were best friends, and that, you know, she was the person chosen to speak at his funeral, which in reality was an over-exaggeration. She was one of many to speak. She made it seem like, you know, she was going to give the eulogy, but in reality it was like, you know, multiple people up there. And also she, as soon as the toxicology report came out, boop, never heard about him again, never mentioned him again, never said, oh, my friend. She was promoting her blog and her podcast while speaking about his death constantly when that was happening. And I thought it was in complete poor taste. Like, these people have no boundaries and no ethics, in my opinion. Like, someone dies in your life, content, sell. That's all they're thinking. So, yeah. So she's no newbie on this channel, fortunately or unfortunately. And for that, I say,
they're going to be dropping some really powerful, amazing, life-changing shiz.
They will be dropping it somewhere. And Asari Shepherd, thank you, Asari Shepherd. Asari Shepherd says, disappointed in Mr. Fake here. That's Hollywood, huh? You can't have 10 good movies, especially when you play the same character every single time. If you really watch Matthew McConaughey's mannerisms, they are the same in this YouTube channel where he is himself as they are in basically every movie, maybe minus Interstellar. That was the only one I think that he, like, for whatever reason, just had like a good acting period. The rest is like, I'm a suave guy. I got a little bit of grit and a little bit of gruff, and I'm hot and I'm nice. And sometimes I have confidence, but sometimes I'm softy too. Like, that's him in every movie and in his life as well. So thank you, Asari Shepherd. And for that, I say,
this is just stupid.
Agreed. Okay. So you want to sign up for the grift? What is it? What is the grift? Tell me all about it. Okay. It is a email marketing scheme. All right. And he's gonna explain it. F off, gravity. That's what he has to say. Okay, before I play this, hold on. It's called Lyrics of Livin. He is discriminatory against the letter G. And this is what Lyrics of Livin is with McConaughey. Okay, I don't know as of now if this is associated still with Dean Graziosi. It smells a little bit like him, you know, like the branding and the camper. Like, I don't know what they're trying to do here, make him seem like he's a down-to-earth guy, because Matthew McConaughey is not traveling in an Airstream. If he is, it's like the luxury version, and he's, you know, parked it on his $1 million Hawaiian property, and it's just there so he can take pictures and make himself look normal. But this is what he's doing. No G. Wanna find little rhyme in your reason? Me too. Time to find our frequency and tune in your mailbox every Friday at 5 o'clock in the PM Eastern time. Okay, so I did sign up, so I will be receiving emails. And actually, let me pull up my email real quick, and I'll show you what it went to my spam immediately. So I'm assuming it's very non-toxic for my email account. They can already tell, like, this is full of malware. Okay, welcome. Let's tune in. Okay, Lyrics of Livin. The last thing that he did was called The Art of Livin. So we've progressed. Bumper stickers by McConaughey. So if you ever wanted a celebrity, specifically Matthew McConaughey, to deliver bumper sticker like quotes at you, you've come to the right place, finally. Welcome to my newsletter, Lyrics of Livin. I've journaled and scribbled down good times, bad times, turn-offs, and turn-ons for more than 4 decades now. And as you may know, many of those journal entries were what inspired my book, Green Lights, which is his memoir, which got me thinking, what if I didn't wait 40 more years to share my thoughts? Prescribes. So he's prescribes. I guess he's going to prescribe us some advice. Tips, truths, and inspirations. Things I've seen, said, stole, okay, Mel Robbins, and heard along my way that can help us find more green lights in our life and put a little rhyme to your reason. I don't love green lights as like a self-help concept. It's like green lights is good things, red lights are bad things, yellow lights are potentially bad things or potentially good things, I guess. But it's like, okay, he's pushing it too hard, I guess. Green lights, like just say good things. Like at this point, like good vibes. I want to find more good vibes. That would match more than like a street signal with all green. It's just like, okay, I guess he's pushing the road trip angle. He's trying to find a brand somewhere in this. Anyways. So every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, I'm going to send my Lyrics of Livin to your mailbox. Think of it as 5 minutes with McConaughey. I just hate how like anyone who speaks in the third person, automatic red flag.
No one's come to save us.
Yeah, red flag. You can read it to yourself or listen to me read it to you. Because I'm counting on 90% of you not really fully being educated. Okay, I'm sorry. That was mean, but you know what I mean. It's yours if you want it. Easy. P.S. Why Friday at 5? Because Fridays have always been my favorite day of the week. A true parlay day. It's like, this is when you know that you have no depth. Like now we're explaining why is my newsletter on Fridays at 5 and giving like a deep answer as opposed to just like, I chose Fridays at 5. There you go. That's when it comes out. I guess you got to fill the page. This is Desperation City, it seems like. Because Fridays have always been my favorite day of the week. A true parlay day. The first half of Friday is about responsibility and work. And the second half is about freedom and play. And Friday also comes with a 48-hour runway before we get back to Monday. If, of course, you work in a traditional workplace, don't work a weekend, don't work overnight, that stuff. But yeah, sure. It's a life lesson, definitely. And this is coming from Beverly Hills, California. Okay. And here's a super exclusive unlisted video. You only get this if you subscribe. Okay, you ready? He's got, when he says work in all caps, he means at the car mechanic. He's picked up a new job. Given his outfit here. Okay, here you go. He's like, honey, get the camera and make sure that you don't take your medication yet. So it's really, really authentic. It's a little shaky. That's my joke. Okay, here you go.
So I've taken notes on what turned me on and off for 42 years now. And decades later, the recordings of my thoughts turned out to be what my book Green Lights was based on, which got me thinking. I said, hey, McConaughey, what if you don't wait 40 long years to share your notes in story form like you did in Green Lights, but instead share some life lyrics with people once a week? These would be notes I've recorded, useful tips, truths, and inspirations I've seen, said, stole, and heard along my way. Ones that you can make your own if you want to or not. Your choice. Easy either way. So, I'm going to send you my...
Like, use it for your life or not, whatever. Like, okay, dude, relax. I'm sure many, many people will replicate your exact formula for success. Be really hot, be discovered at a bar, and become a Hollywood movie star. I mean, that's so easy. You just have to listen to his ramblings for 5 minutes a week.
Lyrics of Livin to your mailbox. Think of it as 5 minutes with McConaughey as you end your working week and head into the weekend. You can read it yourself or you can listen to me read it for you. And again, it's free because as much as this is for you, it is also for me.
Yeah, we know.
Lyrics of Livin. Yeah, just keep living.
Okay. So that was the pitch. First of all, I hate how he says it's like spending time with McConaughey. It's like, that's you, right? Whoever wrote this script for you that you're reading off of your laptop, weirdly. Like, you couldn't have done another take. Aren't you an actor? Can't you memorize a script? Why are you looking at the screen, reading it, trying to sound casual? It's not coming off casual for me. So that's that. That's his pitch. I'm signed up. Cannot wait to continue. But there's more. But wait, there's more. So here's another one. This is the one I was going to play originally. This is called F Off Gravity. Okay, 39. It's even shorter than the last one. Here you go.
How we gonna do it if you really don't want to dance? By standing on the wall. Get your backs up off the wall. Yeah. A few minutes after Kool and the gang told us to do just that, we got reminded to get our hearts off the ground, our spirits in flight day and night, telling gravity to have a bit of a fuck off. So, let's get our hips a-swigging above the holes the moles be digging. Time to go to work, break a sweat. Time for me, you, and all the nations to get us some elevation. Whew. Roof is a man-made thing. Let's fly.
What is happening? I didn't watch that yet. That was worse than I was expecting. Is he having a mental breakdown? Like, is that what this is? He's like, when celebrities have breakdowns, they're like, it's time to launch my ConvertKit business. Time to launch my email marketing campaign. I'm having delusions of grandeur. Let me set up a camera real quick. That was worse than what are you talking about? Dude, get a grip. Okay, here he is outside of his trailer. He's outside of his trailer just chilling. He's just here casual. The camera guy just showed up. He just wanted to capture a quick couple lyrics of life for me. Here you go.
Want to work out some of life's riddles? Put a little rhyme to your reason? I do. That's why I'm launching Lyrics of Livin. It's a newsletter that I'll put out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Think of it as a few-minute read of notes and ideas and thoughts that I've heard, seen, and stole along the way. Things that'll hopefully help you dance into your weekend and take that same jig into your work week. I like the sound of that. If you're into it, sign up at lyricsoflivin.com. Hope to see you there. Appreciate it.
My favorite part about that was when he said, ha, 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 ha. Anyways, back to my grift pitch. Yikes. Okay, well, another pitch. He's got a whole campaign going. Okay, that's what we just watched, Gravity. He's got 10 million followers on Instagram, again. And a lot of these are ads. He's got Uber Eats as one of his big ads. He's got the Lincoln as an ad, and he's got Salesforce. So he's got a lot of branding content, in case you were wondering. All right. Here's him talking about his Green Lights book. This isn't related to the Lyrics of Living, but he's wearing his merch. So I pulled this one just to hear him give more self-help advice before we watch the big video that is the most exciting of all of them related to this. Here we go.
Holiday season. Uh-oh. Amen. Yippee. Oh my. All that stuff is coming. Yellow lights, red lights. Go see some family. Family comes sees us. Go to the airport. Oh, wrong gate. Oh, flash the leg. Oh, gotta drive. Need to pull up for gas. Wait a minute. Why is there construction? All these things as we're moving around this holiday season. Make sure we're staying on our frequency. We got green lights on the go. Notice this is an agile paperback. Throw it in your backpack. Put it in your back pocket. You catch a red light or you're at a yellow light. Gotta see.
Someone's got a huge ass. If you can fit that in your back pocket. I think that was an insult to his readers. He's like, I want my readers to have the biggest ass in the world to fit this book up there. Green light.
Decision to make. Grab a pop of this on the go. Easy to take in. Keep you on your frequency so we can make it through this time and get into the new year. More horsepower.
Jerking off.
Stay agile. So here we are in the...
He's losing it. He's losing it. Did he lose like some sort of lawsuit or something to somebody? A secret like NDA, can't tell the world that he's broke now or something? Because this level of desperation is bizarre for someone of his caliber. What are you even saying? What is the common thread here, Matthew? I'm concerned. I'm concerned about your future. All right, let's watch the big one though. And if you love AI, you're gonna love this video. He's an artist, right? He's an actor. He is a culture something. What does his thing say? He's like a culture ambassador of Austin, Texas. Okay, this is how he supports the arts. And, you know, to be fair, this could be artwork, but I get the vibe that it's not, that it is an AI generated piece of material. But correct me if I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong. But this is what he's making now. This is called Lyrics of Livin with McConaughey Responding to Red Lights. Okay, it's 4 minutes. And it features this version of McConaughey. It's like off the pages of a romance novel. Beepity bop boop bop. Yeah, living, keep reading, keep watching. Hey. And thank you to Asari Shepherd. Thank you so much. Asari Shepherd says, green light, green ass. Yes. Green light, red light. That's what he's talking about. It's like green light, red light, murder. Hee hee hee. It's a Squid Games reference, obviously.
Tattoo it on the inside of your eyelids.
He likes that phrase. He's used that in other content as of late.
Certain? I was not.
Thank you, Sorry Shepherd. Okay. This is whether you're impacted by the LA fires or in a crisis of your own. I found that a good plan to handle and manage a crisis is recognize, stabilize, organize, respond. It's quite a list. Okay, here you go, McConaughey. Take it away.
Hello, all, on this third Friday of our Lyrics to Livin' Hangout. Friday 5. Hope you had a decent, good enough week and got something to look forward to this weekend. The title for this week, Responding to Red Light. Now, look, whether you've been impacted by the LA fire.
There's something so dystopian about this. Whether you like looking at an AI version of a celebrity who's teaching the masses about how to live life better. Have you been a victim of a fire or a shooting? I got the tips for you. It's like, whoa. You gotta catch yourself sometimes and go, what am I actually experiencing right now? Anyways, continue on, Matthew.
Red light. Now, look, whether you've been impacted by the LA fires or you're in a crisis of your own right now, I've found that a good plan to handle and manage a crisis is 4 parts. Recognize, stabilize, organize, and respond. In particular, as the fires continue in LA, a great many people are still recognizing the amount of destruction and the hardship that so many are facing in real time. Some are in the stabilization phase of the crisis management. And if you are ones that have your family and your loved ones safe, I hope you can be as consciously patient as possible at this time so you can stabilize for the long and hard road that you have ahead. Before you organize, make a plan, and then respond according to what you need. You know, there's a piece I found from Greenlight, and it caught my eye.
There's a piece that I found in your own book. It caught my eye, my own book. It was a sentence that a wise man once said. That was McConaughey, who is me, but I separate ourselves when I speak because my ego has gotten so large that I think of myself and my persona as 2 different people. Been there. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is unhinged. This is totally unhinged behavior. And also, when he got affected, I don't even know if he was affected by the fires. I don't even know if he has a house in LA, probably an apartment at the very least. I think he lives full time in Texas, but also has a place in Hawaii, is my understanding. He would just go to his other property, So again, to hear celebrities tell me how to deal with a crisis, I'm done with that. The Imagine All the People montage during the pandemic was strike 1 through 3. I don't need this anymore. I don't need to be told donate. I don't need to be told how to handle a crisis by organizing. Shut up. Shut up, know your place, go away. That's my 2 cents.
In consideration of these events, it goes like this. Believe that everything we do in life is part of a plan. Believe that everything done unto us is part of the same plan. Now, sometimes the plan goes as intended and sometimes it doesn't. Well, that's part of the plan. Now, look, I recognize that losing your home or your business or even loved ones to these fires was sure as hell never part of your plan. All right? But recognizing and admitting and mourning the destruction that you received, admitting it has happened. Now, once the crisis is inevitable, getting past denying this hard truth is the first step towards getting through this crisis and in and on to step 2, stabilizing. Getting your mind level with the reality and your feet back firmly on the ground.
I don't think you're in reality, dude. I really don't think your feet are on the ground. I think you're in the clouds. Continue.
With the hard luck that you're facing and we're helpless to stop. To realize, to admit, and internalize this nightmare as a fact is the first step to dealing with this red light that you've been dealt. And inherently, the first green light in the process of your recovery. A part of step 2, stabilizing, does have
the best green light, accepting reality when your house is burned down. Green light.
Do with hope. It really does. Believing that the destruction will eventually lead to construction. That all death can and will eventually lead to birth. That this pain you feel right now will eventually create newfound pleasures.
Shut up.
And believe
all death leads to more what are you talking about? Oh yeah, my whole family is burned in the fire. Part of the plan? That means you're gonna have a child anytime soon. What? My whole family's dead. That's actually a sign of rebirth. It's actually an omen of a good omen of rebirth. Good luck. Hope you're stabilized soon.
Believing that in this life or the next, what goes down will come up is more than just delusional optimism. It's a means of surviving crisis. Hope.
What do you know about crisis, Matthew?
Believing there's a comma after everything. Hope that this is not how it's gonna be or has to be forever. Hope that you have more living to do. And the alternative sucks, because the absence of hope is a certain way to remain where you are right now forever if you ain't got none. Now, recognizing the crisis and stabilizing in the truth.
This is another thing too, like watching this and experiencing this in this time of our lives collectively. It's like never that I've experienced has there been a time where the wealth gap has been so thrust upon us in social media and in the media at large, where, you know, the government is no longer being run by people who, you know, had to be elected. Like, it's all these things, and it's like the richest man in the world is now going in and changing all these things. And it's like, not to get politics into this, but I think everyone can agree we have more access to celebrities, to politicians, to see their lifestyle, to watch influencers. We're bombarded by this material all the time. And yet that's what's causing the stress in some ways. Catastrophes are happening. There's fires. There's all these problems that are stressing people out. And yet the people who are causing the original stress, which I think is celebrities showing that they are so wealthy and making people feel bad about themselves and their situation, are also now going to be the cure for us. That we're going to have to pay them to be healed by them through this garbage. It's very interesting times. It's like, and a lot of these wellness people will, you know, say, oh, the doctors or big pharma and the government, they're all trying to make us sick so they can sell us the cure. Okay, that's exactly the same thing that's happening in these influencer spaces too. The celebrities are making us all ill with social media, and the cure is, hey, I have a social media platform that'll teach you how to be well. Oh my God, like the irony is not lost on moi.
Then having hope that you can find and make your way out of your predicament is essential in preparing you for step 3, organizing, making the best plan to move forward. You see, red lights reveal our character and our identity, what our attitude is when we're in them, how we choose to approach getting out of them, what we do and how we handle when the going gets tough, our I knows and our I have no ideas. The hope we have that our crises will pass is what allows us to get our feet on stable ground, make a plan, and act on it. There you go. In the meantime and all times, with respect, just keep living.
With respect to the living, keep living. And if your family died, no respect. They should have had better optimism, I guess. Yikes. Yikes on bikes. So I didn't hear one gosh darn song. I didn't hear one gosh darn lyric. Was I supposed to? I was promised like lyrics of life. I was promised boop bop a doop. I'm going to give you some quips and some tips. That was pretty bleak and pretty unprofound in my opinion. So there you go. That's Matthew McConaughey's latest grift. I can't wait to check back in 6 months and see where the pricing comes in, because this ain't free. It is going to be leading to some sort of $9.99 a month for the rest of your gosh darn living life anytime now. So we'll check back in. There you go. And maybe he'll be the president one day as well. It's something he's discussed as being something he's interested in. Even though you don't know what party he's in or what his beliefs are, he's ready for that office. And you know what? He probably would win. Unfortunately. Anyways, okay, so let's move gears now. That was McConaughey. Everyone applaud. Good work.
Oh shit, there's shit on the pillow. I began to purge.
Your face to face with me and I to you.
Now we're going to talk about the big topic of the day. Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins. She is just the best, isn't she? We have the same glasses. I don't know what my glasses are. We have the same pair of glasses, so she's got great taste. That's all I need to know about my gurus. Here's where I'm going to start. This is her Instagram, right? And for those who don't know, Mel Robbins was a lawyer. She talked a lot about, which is where our paths cross, kind of. I never met her or anything. But if we were to say, how are you and Mel Robbins alike? Well, my first job right out of college was working on the George Zimmerman trial at the local news station. And Mel Robbins was also one of the big correspondents during the George Zimmerman trial. So there you go. We're basically twins. We go way, way back. And she was very news-centered back then. Didn't have an opinion about her back then. Could care less. She also had a show at one point after that, I believe, that was called The Mel Robbins Show, similar to The Oprah Show. Made one season, got canceled. The views were bad. So then she started her podcast. She's been a life coach. She did this TED Talk that became really famous, which is basically, the concept is count back from 5. 5? Yeah. And do stuff. So if you're hesitating about getting out of bed, instead of not getting out of bed, count back from 5, therefore you will get up, and make that a rule. She called it the 5-second rule, and she built an entire multi-million-dollar business on this idea, which awesome, I guess. I mean, to me, it's just like, well, why are we rewarding people for, number one, not even having an original thought, but number two, like monetizing something so simple? That should be, to me, like a free advice thing. Go do a real job. Go work in a factory. Please make something with your time here on earth. Telling people, count back from 5, like, I don't know. It just seems like this could have been a tweet and we could have all moved on with our lives. But nevertheless, she made a whole career about it. Now, and then she had a book called The High Five Theory, which was you have to high five yourself in the mirror. I actually own this book, which is, I own it because I was going to read it for the podcast that we were working on where we read self-help books. It is really bad. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Most of the pages are tiny. Like, the words don't even fill up the page, which is a pretty small book. And half the pages are filled with like screenshots of Instagram comments of people saying, this changed my life. I love it. That's the whole book. It's like, I already bought the book. Where's the information? It's like, this book is so good. It's like, wait, I'm in the book. How did they read the book to put that in the book? Anyways, so now her magnum opus is called The Let Them Theory. Okay, this is her book. Now, there's a few interesting pieces right on the screen right now that I find to be funny. Now, this is on my desktop, to be fair, so it could look differently on mobile. I will hold that as a possibility. However, she claims that she co-wrote this book with her daughter. Okay, this is problem number one. She says she wrote this book in conjunction with her daughter. And her daughter is Sawyer Robbins. This is her, which on her bio, it says co-author of the Let Them Theory. Order your copy, lethem.com. Okay. But if you're to actually look at the book that she co-wrote, there is not any mention of her daughter at all. I see Mel Robbins' name. I don't see co-author, and most likely co-authors are all the time on the front of books. So she's like, hey daughter, thanks for the help. You can put it on your Instagram bio or whatever, but I'm not putting it on the book. And of course, Oprah loves it. So it's got to be trash from hell. Oprah likes it. Anything Oprah likes, just assume is like the stupidest thing you've ever heard of.
You have to think instead of sitting around eating Skittles and watching Oprah reruns.
Dave Ramsey had one good piece of advice, and it was that. Anyways, so there's already one discrepancy here. And also, okay, it says, hey, I can't read. Hey, I'm Mel. Thanks for listening to the Mel Robbins podcast, and I'm so glad you love the Let Them Theory. I wrote it, ... with my daughter. Isn't that so funny? Isn't that hilarious? It just so happens, and she's got a team of people helping her, obviously, at this point. And her team seems to be pretty tech savvy, pretty social media savvy. I feel like they knew the exact amount of characters that it would take so that this would pop up, that you had to click on the more to read that she didn't write it on her own, because the book does not show her daughter's name. Anyways, I thought that was so funny. I was like, whoa, okay. So in case you've never seen her before, here you go. She's blonde. She's got glasses. That is her thing. That is her shtick. That is her whole thing. And here's her daughter talking about the Let Them Theory. So we'll get to that. But first, let's hear what Oprah has to say, because I'm always curious. And also, peep their hands here. What is going on here in the back of Mel Robbins' back? I find it a very inhuman way to hold someone and walk fakely while someone records you on a phone. But here you go. You be the judge.
When I read this book, I was blown away at how simple you make the process of not trying to control everything that everybody else is doing. It's as simple as let them.
Let them. When you let other people live their lives, your life gets better. When you let people be who they are, your relationships get better.
That's right, because that's...
As opposed to what? Not let them. I'm going to write a follow-up book. Don't let them. And it'll be a freaking bestseller. Don't let them tell you can't. Don't let the haters win. Don't let them get away with their negativity. Don't let them. And everyone will go, oh, genius advice, genius. I've never heard of something so simple and so amazing before. And I will profit, and I'll never talk to y'all again. I'll be in, California, growing my family from the ashes. Peace, never to be seen again. Okay, sorry.
That's what we're here to do, to accept people for exactly who they are.
Yes.
And not trying to change them.
Yes, and to stop wasting your time and energy trying to control things that you can't control, like other people's moods, what they think, what they do, because you need that time and energy to do things to make your life better.
And then
so let them.
Let them. And then the other most important part of the theory is let me.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me remind myself that I am always in control.
Yeah.
Because I have power over what I think, what I do, and how I process my emotions.
When I read this book,
Wasn't that an awkward walk? And they just stopped abruptly. Yes, let me. So that's how she's saying that it's not her stealing. And we're going to get into the copyright stuff and the actual stealing of this poem that she co-opted and made her own and copyrighted it. But she added in the let me. So not let them, which is the name of the book. Her contribution is let me, which is, basically let people do what they want and I'm going to do what I want. Matthew, help me out here. Life-changing. People shock me. This is how I actually think if I was a motivational speaker. Value yourself more than this. Look at this shit and value yourself above it. This is first grade reading level comprehension stuff. If you haven't mastered this by now, it's okay, but you don't need to read a book about it. Reading the book about this is literally wasting hours of your life for what end? To feel like you are making progress in your life? This is a distraction. Read a fictional book. At the very least, you'll actually learn something new, because this is garbage. I'm sorry to say. I'm not sorry to say, actually. Honestly, truly, honestly, not sorry to say. And this is her whole thing. Use this theory, the let them theory, the let them theory. 6 ways to use my let them theory. This will change your life. 15 million people are using this mindset hack with Jay Shetty. Grifters in paradise. The two of them just steal other people's ideas and make it their own. And people celebrate it. They go, oh, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this amazing tip. I know you stole from somewhere, but you made it popular. It's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I do get it because I feel like people just don't have the time, which I understand. They don't have the time to look into this and to care. But it's just such a letdown. Such a letdown that this continues to go on and on and on forever. Okay, so where do we even begin? So basically, let's start with, where should we start? I got a lot of my information from this Substack, from Sage Words. It's Sage Justice's Substack. So shout out Sage Justice, because a lot of this information came from you. Appreciate the help. Okay, so this was written in 2025, recently. So, okay, here's the recap. I'm just going to read it verbatim so you get the idea. Then we're going to go through some of the posts. So, a well-known motivational speaker, Mel Robbins, has used multiple concepts, let them, let me, let you, and actual lines of a viral poem written by author Cassie B. Phillips, and claimed them as her own in a wildly popular book, The Let Them Theory. Mel did this while also saying that her daughter Sawyer Robbins co-wrote the book with her, but she never gave her daughter credit on the cover as a co-author, perhaps because, as Mel has said in interviews, she sees this moment of glory as her legacy. Embarrassing for her. Cassie Phillips is a contemporary of Mel Robbins, 2 authors in the same time period. One is just more well-known than the other. Cassie's Let Them poem, mantra, and concept went viral in 2022. The Let Them Theory book by Mel Robbins was published 2 years later at the end of 2024. Many people in the self-help community remember the first version of Let Them by Cassie Phillips because they pinned it to their social media pages as a guiding light for whatever challenges they faced personally. Those of us who remember Cassie Phillips were confused to hear Mel Robbins claim this work as her own. Seeing social media posts like this, which claim Mel Robbins plagiarized Cassie's work, only added to the confusion. And so this person is Liz Dawn Donahue, and she tagged Cassie Phillips and says, I've been working with new thought leaders for 30 years. And when I say working, they are my clients. We're talking about the late Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Caroline Myss. I don't know who that is. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton. Don't know who those two last are on the list. And the list goes on. I can tell you 100% without a doubt this was plagiarism. Mel Robbins took your material and made it her own. She expanded on your concept, your thoughts, your original piece of work. I'm so appalled and disgusted by the complete lack of integrity, and you can quote me on this. Okay, so it's sort of known that this is a poem that's been around on the internet since 2022, so it seems. I think it would have been easy for Mel to say, I got this, I saw this poem, credit her, say I read it, and now I want to give you my thoughts on it. But no, that's not good enough for her, because I think she's a narcissist, like I think all these people are in the self-help space. She can't even have her daughter's name on it. That's how like self-obsessed this person is. She has to hide the fact that like it's not her own thoughts. It would be so easy to just credit people. Same thing with Rachel Hollis. Like you could just say this quote, and she's gotten better about it, to be fair. But in the beginning, when she was literally sticking her name on famous quotes and saying Rachel Hollis said this, it's like, just say that this spoke to you and you're sharing it. Why? But I think they don't have anything else. They don't have any reason that people should listen to them. So they're hoping that you aren't paying attention and that you think they're really profound. And then you buy their book without like looking into it, I guess. Mel describes her knowledge of the let them theory as a discovery she made. Now she said that she was the inventor of the 5-second rule, I believe, and definitely the inventor of the high five theory. So she claimed, I invented it, okay, which I thought was a very bizarre term to use in that case. But this one she discovered, very similar to The Secret, which was a big discovery that Rhonda Byrne made in her grandpa's attic. She discovered the secret after all these years. It was hidden in the texts. Okay. So she discovered this. A word she's careful to use in her book rather than created or originated when referring to the let them theory. Allegedly, Mel ran with the concept of let them once she saw the traction she gained from sharing it on social media herself. So Mel shares this woman's work and sees that people are into it, and she's like, perfect, I'm gonna trademark that, take it, put my name on it, and I will be hailed a hero. And that's exactly what happened, and that's exactly what's happening now, which is a huge disappointment to everyone. It should be. After 2 years of not being contested for doing so, it appears she began to take credit for it herself. Okay, and this is called When Rich People Can Trademark Your Words. Okay, so I heard at the bottom of this, I believe this is, she said that she did not trademark it, or she tried, she went for it and it got denied. But when I looked it up, I did not see that. So here's the trademark that she put in. So it's let them. And this one is for just trademark, service mark. I guess it's just owning the words. So if you ever want to put let them on any sort of selling material, then you're screwed. But it says current owners information, Mel Robbins Productions. And it looks like it's gone through, unless I just don't understand. It looks like it was approved, I thought, but I could be totally wrong. But she owns that one, or she's going for that one. And then the let them theory as well. This is also, and you can see her name here, Mel Robbins Productions. So she's attempting, and this was published in October 2024, notice of allowance. So I'm pretty sure that does mean that she's allowed to do it. But I'll read you what the Sage writer says.
Let them theory is
Oops. Sorry. So anyways, let's go back. Where was I? Okay. And that's a picture of it. Okay. The latest was a trademark scandal. Mel Robbins filed to trademark the title of the viral poem by Cass. Can you imagine, like, if I was like, I'm going to trademark the Bible. It's mine. I read it and I thought it was great. I support it. I'm gonna copyright it for towels and toiletry branded items. I mean, there's no difference, really. Someone else wrote something that spoke to you. You took it, interpreted it yourself, and then copyrighted it. It's just, I don't know. Okay. Let them. Further stripping independent artists of profiting from the concept of let them, which was meant to remain free. So the original, which I think is how most people would think, is that Cassie Phillips said, I want this to go viral and be something that people can experience and learn from for free, purposely, intentionally keeping it free. I guess that's why people are like, why didn't you write a book then if you didn't care about, if you wanted people to read it? It's like, well, I didn't want to put it behind a paywall. Sounds like it makes sense to me, honestly. Anyways. To my understanding, Cassie's actual signature is the font used in many of the trademarked items of the original Let Them tattoo. Imagine having your signature trademarked by another, which, while ridiculous and not likely, makes one wonder if a trademark of your signature by someone else could legally and conceivably require you to pay a licensing fee to sign your own name. Yeah, I don't know what the legalities of that. But again, Mel Robbins is a lawyer, so she would know what the rules are. And also, this reminds me of when Heidi Powell tried to buy HeidiPowell.com, which was owned by another woman named Heidi Powell. And she took her to court and kicked this woman who had owned this URL forever and had a website, kicked her off her own domain name because she was the real Heidi Powell. So again, these people in this space, their egos are so expanded, they cannot even handle when someone else has their name. Okay, sorry. Trademarking the phrase let them means that all those Etsy creators who have made pillows, jewelry, shirts, mugs, and other items with the word let them, sometimes using the actual signature of Cassie Phillips, would have to pay Mel Robbins a licensing fee to keep profiting off of what Cassie created for free to help those in need of this powerful mantra. Having to pay a fee for using a trademarked name could increase the price to the consumer by 35%. If she was to obtain the trademark, Mel Robbins could sue those independent artisans, and I'm sure she would. I'm sure she would. She doesn't give a shit. She wants her money. She wants that dough. She wants that bread. That's all she cares about, honestly. That's 100% what it seems like, that she has no sense of I built this community. I want to shit. No. She charges $100,000 for an hour to speak on a stage and brags about that. That is not someone who wants to spread the word about things. That's someone who's in it for themselves. Just know that. You all do.
I don't know if anybody has worked as hard on this topic as I have.
Okay. And Asari Shepherd, sorry if I missed your comment. Asari Shepherd said, let me hug you while walking. Fakers. Yeah, that Oprah hug was weird. I don't know. I think they got surgery or something, that their consciousness is probably in the cloud by now, and they're not even capable of interacting humanly anymore. Something's gone on. They've left their bodies behind, and now they're just operating on a different plane, because what was that? I don't get it. And also, Asari Shepherd, I have to say this to you.
I'm outside the Cheesecake Factory waiting for it to open.
Okay. It seems absurd that Mel Robbins could sue creators who were selling Let Them products before Mel Robbins even published her book, The Let Them Theory, but this is how the legal system operates, which as a former lawyer, she knows well. If we don't take a stand, this means that Mel Robbins could sue artists for using words that weren't hers to begin with. As Cassie Phillips wrote, quote, a trademark filing means that in order to speak on a topic that I previously popularized, I would now have to pay credit and fees to someone who discussed it long after me just because she wrote a book on it. And I don't think it's cheap to do these copyrights. I think you need a lot of money, which again gives Mel Robbins the advantage here, because Cassie Phillips could have copyrighted it, but I'm pretty sure you have to have a lawyer involved. And I think it's thousands of dollars, if I'm not mistaken, and not the easiest of processes. So Mel Robbins, the only reason she's getting any advantage is because she's got money and connections, which again is typical in the world, but sad that this is the state of things still. Oh, it's not working. Hold on. I'm moving the screen and it's not showing. There you go. Okay, why doesn't Cassie Phillips just sue Mel Robbins? She said, I can't answer this question for Cassie, but because perhaps a class action lawsuit will be taken if enough lesser known authors come forward with proof that their words were also used by authors more well known. I don't think so. I don't know anything about law, but I would imagine there is probably a civil case here that she could sue and say, you know, there was no attribution whatsoever. I had written this, I posted it. I think that could count, perhaps. I don't know the exact ruling, but she could try. But again, you need to have money to have the lawyer to go look into it. People familiar with my work who then recognize it being used by others will ask me, why don't you sue? The answer is that I don't have the resources, there you go, to take someone to court. And then it's not just taking them to court, it's keeping them in court. Because if the other lawyers, which I'm sure Mel Robbins has amazing lawyers, like expensive lawyers, they're going to keep the thing going and drain your money until you give it up. Because again, they have the luxury to be able to drain money because they got so much of it. She's making millions and millions of dollars stealing content. So I understand that. The thing is, you got to be broke, and then you have nothing to lose, and you can just go to court by yourself every day and use the fame of the lawsuit to bolster your OnlyFans account and then profit. Okay, that's my plan in case like Bethany Frankel ever took me to court. I was like, well, plan B, baby. Okay, anyways. The answer is that I don't have the resources to take someone to court, and people who steal the work of others know that, depend on it, and make a career of getting away with that. However, some publishing houses are known to encourage their authors to write their books using AI. Now, I've read, and I think it's on her page, that Hay House, which, to tie all this shit together, Louise Hay, who wrote the book, God, what is it called? I don't even remember. I'm like, so my brain won't process it. What did Louise Hay write? Oh my God. Not You Are the Answer, but basically, book. Hold on. You Can Heal Your Life. Oh my God. I've been so blessed that had left my mind for 5 minutes. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. That book that basically says every ailment, every cancer, everything is in your head. And if you just have better thoughts, you won't have those things anymore. That book propelled Louise Hay, the writer of that, to start her own publishing company. Medical Medium publishes with Hay House. Gabrielle Bernstein publishes with Hay House, and Mel Robbins does as well, which is a weird kind of, I guess, publisher for her, in my opinion, because she's not that woo-woo. She's not that out of her mind that I've seen, but apparently they gave her the best deal, I'm assuming. And so she's with Hay House, and Hay House allegedly has been telling their authors, just use AI. Just use AI to write your books. Awesome. Great advice. And again, I don't have any proof of this. I've read this as an alleged, take from someone online, but sounds about right given their clientele of who's, on their roster. I don't disagree that's what they would tell people. Okay, so it says, however, some publishing houses are known to encourage their authors to write their books using AI, which itself was trained using books written by authors like myself, who published before ChatGPT and other AI resources became easily available. Authors who take that advice and choose to rely on AI may not realize that they are in effect plagiarizing lesser-known authors who have been sharing their work on the internet for years. For some of us, since the early 1990s when the internet first became accessible to most. If those authors band together in a class action suit, the tides may change. Yeah, I guess what she's saying is that they could all come together and have one lawyer and they split the fees. That does make sense. Okay. Why should we care? This is a question that I get asked a lot too. Why? Who cares? Loser, you're being negative. Well, here you go. Here's what Sage Justice says. We should care because if we don't stand up to injustice when it happens to another, who will stand up to injustice when it happens to us? This is an ethical and moral dilemma that, if not rectified, could turn into reprehensible fraud that will be continually repeated by others. It is the crime of well-known people taking original material from lesser-known creators and not profiting from it, but stealing the profits from those who need them more and rightly deserve them. It's not even who needs them more. It's who deserve them, period, in my opinion. It's like taking food from Cassie and her children. It's taking Cassie's legacy. It's robbing her of what's rightfully hers. I concede that we live in a capitalistic society where it's legal to build upon what someone else has done without giving them credit, but that doesn't make it right, especially from someone who claims to be spiritual. Totally. Someone who's giving advice, acting in this way is the most embarrassing thing. But again, if you have no shame, then you will profit the most. If you have shame and ethics, you are going to struggle to succeed in this world because it is competitive. But it's like, Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Like, I just think that about Mel Robbins. You're so focused on your legacy that you will not put your daughter's name on a book that you stole from the internet anyways. The bar is so low. Oh my God. Okay. Unfortunately, this happens to independent poets and writers all the time, and it robs us of our ability to make a living from our art while someone else profits off of us. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so now Cassie Phillips is coming out with a book. Okay, so she's decided now to try to, not profit from this scandal, but like get her version of the let them theory out there so people can hear her thoughts, since she is their person who allegedly came up with this in 2022, way before Mel Robbins ever saw it. I do not believe in cancel culture, but rather I believe in cancel culture. I don't believe it's real. I don't think it actually works, but I do believe in saying I'm no longer interested in this person for many reasons. She says, I do not believe in cancel culture, but rather call out culture that can lead to repair and resolution, true healing. There's an easy solution for this. For Mel to apologize, I don't think that's ever going to happen, acknowledge Cassie as the original inspiration, and give her a hand up so that she can profit too when her book comes out soon. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen in a million years. And this is her book, Sage Justice's book. Okay, and then this is an update. Now, I just looked at the paperwork. I didn't see that it got denied, but this is what she says. Mel Robbins did not get the trademark for Let Them because, as Cassie Phillips shared, they denied the trademark. It's all available online for public record now, and they even show the reason, evidence, supporting why she could not claim it to take as her own copyright. The 18 photos used as documents, my work, my published work, survivors and their tattoos with my handwriting, Etsy shops with my permission and handwriting, my poetry and mantra plastered all over articles dating back to 2021 and 2022. Mel Robbins may get a trademark for the Let Them theory, but unless and until she offers reparations, her legacy won't be the book or theory of the words Let Them. It will be how she usurped the credit of an unknown poet's viral words online and didn't offer the grace of pulling her up beside her when she could have. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Okay, so here's Cassie Phillips. Cassie.Phillips.let them, okay? So it says, let them so you can let you. Now it's finally time to let me. Let's heal together, friends. And then it's got a management. All right, so this is her page. This is her part of her book that she's writing about the let them theory. But I want to show you her Facebook because that's where she's got some of these responses. So this is Cassie Phillips' Facebook page post. Oops. And this is what she has to say about the matter. And I would love Cassie, if you're watching this, I would love for you to come on to my YouTube channel. We can do a live stream interview. You can do a recorded interview. I'm down for whatever. So if this comes across your feed in some way, please, I will reach out to you. Please respond. Let's do it. It'll be fun. Okay. And she says, well, I guess it'll be a battle of the trademarks. And this is from January. I am not bitter. I am exhausted. I am not self-righteous. I am passionate. I am human first and foremost. However, I wanted humans to enjoy something freely. That's the biggest mistake, Cassie. In the capitalistic utopia in which we call home, you would never want humans to enjoy anything that they're not paying for and then you're profiting from. We've learned that many eons ago. So just go home to your other country where you belong. She's like, I'm American. Well, we're deporting you. Okay, sorry. I tried to keep these words liberating and free. Something to enjoy and celebrate. Now, to purchase items with Let Them, your money goes to Mel Robbins to line her pocket on words she only theorized by taking someone else's life work without crediting. She never claimed it was hers, many shouted, and I'm sure there was many comments of like ignorant people like that saying that. She never claimed it was hers. Okay, but you don't get the read between the lines here that she wrote a book and put her name on it? Hello. Anyway, so many argued, let them is just two words. It can't belong to anyone. She can use it. She never said she created it or it was hers. How about you just clap for her and let her? See, this is the conundrum that Mel Robbins, I think, knew she was going to get Cassie into because the concept is let them. So she's like, well, she's got no repercussions because her theory on life is to let them steal my work. I got her trapped in this one, everybody. You know, I do think that crossed her mind. Like, well, she'll probably let me do it because look at her philosophy. Yeah, just clap for her. She needs the extra millions to add to her pile. It was around before Mel. It helped her and she cares about people, truly. Mel is my hero and she's doing this for us. I'm going to buy a shirt that says let them. Whoever said that, seek help. Okay, sorry. And I would say, yeah, but she didn't come up with it. She should not be claiming it or the movement that helped so many before. She charges people and gets finances. So I don't endorse it being sold by her, and I'm warning people away. I want to laugh because me simply saying this, I met with fighting on my personal Facebook. So many people brainwashed on the subject. Yeah, I believe it. I see it all the time. People just, they love donuts. No, they do not want to admit that they're wrong, that they will just double, triple, quadruple down on whatever stupid thought they have and just hold on for dear life. That is how I think they survive in the world or something. I don't know. That's how they want to live, I guess. All right. And now technically she owns them. Cute little t-shirts y'all love to parade around and make now. She owns anything with that. She trademarked it because she talked about it in a podcast that luckily raised her following. The idea was given to her from her daughter who heard it through the viral reposting of my original work. So this is how this book starts. Mel Robbins' daughter sees this poem online, tells her mom. The mom goes, amazing, trademark, write a book, give me all the information and I'll put my name on it and we'll be rich. There you go. Wow. The bar is so low. Mel wrote a book that she knew would sell and grasp attention for desperate codependent people. Now, because the movement has been derailed, every jewelry item, shirt item, poem, shoes, cup, etc. will need to be approved by her legal team, which will now have to be purchased with a 35% increase, so she gets her money off of her book work. Unless I go and defend my words. Unless I go to court and battle on this movement and the right to use them. Are you all content now? I begged for this not to happen so you all would not give her motive to be a self-proclaimed idol to worship. I tried to warn people. I tried to tell you not to fall for this. They don't listen. They don't listen. Trust me. It's all, let them. Let them. But get your money and take her to court. I agree with you. Some personally came to my personal Facebook to try and tear me down. Now, it is laughable. You claim this was around because of Medea or because of that. It belongs to whoever. Actually, because of ignorance, it now no longer does. Anytime you do anything with let them, it technically does not belong to everyone or hurt people anymore. Mel Robbins has decided to file for trademark because of her book being successful, even if it was built on lies. Now, each time someone wants to purchase Let Them on Etsy, she can sue these people. Is this truly what you all wanted? I'm so disgusted and disappointed in her and anyone involved. Mel Robbins, money is your motive. Amen, sister. Oops. Money is your motive. I hope to hear from you soon. You will not. Did you know that timestamps actually matter? Did anyone within your team do the necessary research on this? Helping people and truly healing has always been mine. Let's see what I can do to fix this disturbance and strange, bizarre, worshiping fantasy you have created. I don't think she's created it. I think she's just been a part of like this industry where people do worship and just hang on to every word. Unfortunately. Okay, so this is from before. So that was one of the most recent ones, I believe. That was January 4th. Okay, here's one more recent. And she says, oh, one more, and I'm finished with this nonsense of being attacked by strangers. Snoop Dogg said it best. Last but not least, I want to thank me. Okay, I need to get that. Let's copyright that as a collective. Akia's World copyright group will get that, and we'll just, every time Snoop says it from now on, we'll profit. I think that's good. And they'll think I'm really smart. Okay. So this, she's just showing screenshots. Yeah. Okay. That was it. That was another recent one. Okay. And then here is from 2023. Okay. This is from 2023. And then she added in December some like updates. And so this is the original post. She said, if you're here from Let Them, you found me, but I'm not sure what you found. Some days I get overwhelmed. My tattoo and my words are everywhere, all over TikTok, trending on Twitter and Facebook, plastered on cups, backpacks, hoodies, t-shirts, and decals. Then when each time a celebrity picks it up, it goes viral again. And then here comes my supporters ready to battle for me. It's a lot and at times too much. I never thought I would make this post. My words went viral years ago before any celebrity decided to monetize it. Okay, this is the added part. Why did I not jump at the opportunity to make money? The easiest way to answer is, how can I tell a newly single mom who is a domestic violence survivor that the answer to letting go and letting them is in a $30 book? Absolutely not. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Honestly, thank you. That is what I say about all of these books. The promises are targeted specifically for people going through the worst things of their life, disease, and like Matthew McConaughey was saying, fires. Their life is in shambles, and they go, I have the solution. You look up to me, right? I have a couple viral posts. I am in movies. $30, please. And I'll tell you. Isn't that the saddest thing? Like, you're going after a group of individuals who have been through it, and you're charging them. I do find that to be, I don't know, a weird thing to do. Personally. My words were formatted into a poem and used across the globe for free. It was shared millions of times and used in domestic violence cases, therapy, and amongst survival and support groups. My words are for anyone who needs them. They inspired tattoos, and my handwriting eventually became used for the basis. That has been readapted and changed by so many writers and creators fitting it to their needs, and that's fine. They did it for free, needing an outlet. But I have never been okay with someone paying for words that are free, a support system and movement that is free. There are support groups using Let Them across different social medias that offer free guidance and help. You do not need to buy or purchase a $30 book from a self-acclaimed author to join the Let Them movement, someone who jumped on the bandwagon just to make money. I do not endorse Mel Robbins and her devious use of my words, the poem, and the mantra. She has yet to release an apology or a statement about the intellectual property theft. As for me and my own, I'm thankful. I truly am. I am thankful also because there has been no bigger support than my community and people from my hometown. They are bold and will never let the credit be taken away from me. To my SWVA family, it makes me so happy to see how proud you all are, stand in fighting for my name, where I come from, and for the words that came from me. Okay, so I think she's going to be doing some sort of article, I hope, because I think this is a very newsworthy issue and sheds light on like a lot of issues in this industry. Okay, this is from 2024, October, but this is, she's using screenshots, and I'll show you the screenshot. She says, Mel is now speaking out to cover her tale to her followers, stating that she has been working on this book project for almost 2 years, which cannot be true if she learned of the movement in May of 2023 and made her first video regarding the subject. That TikTok went live, and due to her being power and fame hungry, she really pushed on this subject to earn more money from TikTok views. Interesting that the Let Them movement still started earlier than 2 years ago. This is so frustrating. I cannot imagine how many other content creators or authors and poets she has stolen from to boost her views or social media presence for money. Charging people who are desperate for answers to their happiness and freedom of being controlled for a $30 book that includes a theory and mantra she did not create is so pitiful. That's a great word, pitiful. I like that in this case. This movement is free. It can be found and explained online. There are support groups with millions of members. Please do not be a sheep. I don't think I can give up until this has been seen through for the sake of everything I stand for and why I chose to originally write. And this is a screenshot from Mel Robbins. This is reminiscent of Dave Hollis on his Patio of Peace saying that he bled into his book, and then if you don't have a job, that you should go buy his book because it's the fastest way that you'll find a job. And that is something that actually happened. Meanwhile, the guy was on drugs and died. Okay, like, you know, this is the crazy part of it is that they're all full of shit. They all don't care. They all are trying to target the again, most vulnerable populations possible. And yet they still get millions and millions of views. I don't get it. Okay. But this is what I bled into this soundbite that I used to have, reminding me of this post. I have poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this project over the last 2 years, and it feels so surreal that I can finally tell you about it. My new book, The Let Them Theory, is available to order. Sorry. Need a burp, excuse me. Let Them is a mindset tool that will help you let go of the need to manage others' opinions, expectations, and emotional reactions so you can reclaim the time and energy to focus on your own growth and happiness. Because when you let others live their lives, you free yourself to live yours. Get your copy at letthem.com. P.S. Here, all the details on this mini episode, all about the Let Them Theory now. There's something exciting I need to tell you. Oh my God. Yeah. Anyways, I've been working on this book. I bought the paper 4 years ago. And then I was just waiting for something to put on it. And I found this amazing thing. And before we move on to the video, this is just someone's take on the book. Not in the copywriting world or anything in that regard, but about the content of the book, which I tended to agree with. So here you go.
Let Them Theory is going absolutely viral right now, and I have a few hot takes, so let's get into it. It's the premise that you should just let other people think what they want about you, behave the way they want, and that you can't control other people's thoughts, feelings, and actions. Basically rooted in the idea that you should stop caring about what other people think about you and just live your life according to your own terms, which we of course love, but there are a few holes in this theory that...
And I guess, now that I'm thinking about it, she's following her own advice here, Mel Robbins. I'm going to live life to my way and to my standards. Her standards are no standards at all. So therefore, she can live her life because she's letting everyone else who's saying, hey, this is theft, this is unfair, even if it's not legally theft, like it's, technically correct, it is morally corrupt. Like, I think we can all agree to that there is something immensely wrong with you as a person who believes in integrity and helping others by taking someone else's work, not attributing them at all, and just being okay with that and making tons and tons of money and going on the news and proclaiming I've discovered a theory. It's like just insane behavior. And on top of it, you're supposed to be a leader and someone to look up to, a role model. So I guess let them. Yeah, she's listening to her own words, but in the most evil way possible. And before I go on, sorry about that. Hawkbit2a 37. Hawkbit37 says, chose a video game controller posing triumphantly in between the words critical hit. Critical hit.
This is gold, straight up. Big facts.
And one more.
She's savage.
She's savage. Hey, thank you, Hawk2a. Just kidding. Hawkbit37, thank you.
That I think we should discuss. For starters, it can enable toxic or abusive behavior if you're simply letting somebody do something. Of course, we can't control other people's behavior, but we can still influence it and set boundaries to communicate what is okay and what isn't okay. I'm thinking of the toxic boyfriend or the friend who walks all over you and you just let them and you don't speak up about it. Let's not forget cases of discrimination, sexism, any sort of hate. It would just be very unhelpful to tell somebody to let the other person act that way or say those things about you. Take Let Them Theory with a grain of salt. It is not a plagiarism and vocalizing what's really going on. So you can let them, and we should care less about what people think about us, but don't always let them. We want to set boundaries and we want to be able to speak up for our own well-being. But I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. Drop some comments below and we will chat soon.
Hey, bitch. Have they never held someone's hand before? Have they ever hugged someone before? Why are they so uncomfortable and awkward? Let them! Oh my God, have you heard about the new book? Let them! Oh my God, it is amazing. It is, oh God, here. Why is she there? She just lives on the Oprah compound? That's Jamie Kern Lima from It Cosmetics. Did you know she worked at Denny's for 4 months once? That means that you can do it too. I hate all of these people. Follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road, follow the yellow brick road. The Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion. I don't know. She's got the white slippers, the Converse to go home. Okay. Anyways. So let's see how much time we have left. We got about 40 minutes. Perfect. Okay. So what I want to do now is hear from the co-author, the unmarked, unidentified co-author of the Let Them theory, who I guess she came across the viral post and sent a DM to her mom, and now she's, made it her own. Let's hear from them. Here's what the book looks like. Mind blown. Blah. Oh, my mic? No. Sorry. Hello? Am I back? Hello? Is it because I was screaming and singing? Was it because I was singing so good? Hello? Why is everything breaking? Oh, shit. This is Mel Robbins. Okay, better? This is Mel Robbins attacking me through the ether. Okay, let me know. It's working on here. Okay, good. It's still happening. It's going in and out. Oh, shit. Okay, I'm just not gonna move. Hopefully it's okay. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be quiet anyways for a second. We're going to watch the daughter and her chat it out. So I will be quiet while I fix this issue. How about that? Okay. Here we go.
With you. And if I think back to before working together, our relationship, it was not horrible, but I don't think it was great.
There was something underneath the surface that made it not so great. And what was that for you?
You were never home. When you came home, all you did was talk about work. It was like all I wanted was your attention, and I felt like it was going everywhere but me.
Really?
Yeah.
It definitely was.
She's like, really? I haven't been home still to know that. Okay, this is starting off pretty wild. Oh yeah, everyone says refresh the video if my mic is not working. That hopefully fixes the problem. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. It's working. It's showing up in my ears and it's showing up on the my Rodecaster. So hopefully it's just a YouTube issue. Okay, so Mel's a neglectful mother is what her daughter's saying. And until we worked together on this book that you didn't give me credit for, I never talked to you. So that's a good thing to start off an interview with. Okay.
And I'm sorry. I was consumed with work because I was so scared about the amount of debt we were in. Me showing up in a way that makes you feel seen. Me showing up in a way that makes you feel like you're a priority. Me showing up in a way where I'm actually emotionally calm and I'm not tantruming or taking my stress out on all of you. That was something I didn't do. And so I did not.
Well, it's good that she's admitting this, I will say. This is refreshing to actually hear someone say, like, I didn't do these things. But also, if you didn't even do them yourself, what advice are you giving people?
But also,
provide you with what you needed. I fully own that. The relationship is a lot like a tug of war. You each pick up the rope, you hook it to the U-Haul, and now you're pulling each other with all the baggage and the weight.
U-Haul?
The fastest way to win the tug of war is to actually just drop the rope.
The sound effects are so funny.
Let them tug. Don't tug back.
Every single time that I was mad at you, I was tugging. Whenever we used to argue in the past, it would be both of us tug of warring.
Mm-hmm.
I think what ended up happening is I would start to tug and you would drop the rope and I would fall down. And I think that what is so beautiful about the Let Them theory is you actually can't play the game of tug of war when one person isn't playing.
It takes two.
It's so great that you let me fall as your daughter. Okay, good advice.
Let them.
We were fighting and you just stopped. And so I fell. That was really good, Mom. Thanks.
Hey, it's your friend Mel, and welcome to the Mel Robbins podcast. It is always such an honor to spend time and be together with you. I am so excited that you hit play today, that you're here for this conversation. This one is going to be amazing.
So amazing.
And the reason why is I'm sitting down with my oldest daughter. Her name is Sawyer. She's 25 years old. And we have just spent the last year writing the Let Them Theory book together. And
why would she not put her on the cover? At the very least, like, it's stolen from a different woman. Okay, so that would be best case scenario. Neither one writes the book. But the fact that she's not on here and she's claiming we wrote the book together, that is effed up.
Process of not only learning about the Let Them Theory and writing this book together, it has healed our relationship. And this is going to be one of those conversations that I know is going to be deeply personal. You're going to see yourself in everything that we're talking about. And you're going to leave not only with a deeper understanding of the Let Them Theory, which is this mindset tool that I discovered, I don't know, about 2 years ago. That really helps you understand what's in your...
Are you fucking Christopher Columbus? I discovered you were on social media. You stole it from someone else. And people just let this happen. The news outlets let this happen. Oh, you discovered this? What's a follow-up question of like, discovered it how? You were walking and, it hit you in the face on a rainy day? Like, oh, wow, amazing. You discovered it on google.com.
Your control and what's not in your control. And it helps you to focus on what you are in control of, which is what you think, say, or do. And to just let other people be. Let them live their lives, let them have their opinions, and really focus on your response. And a funny thing happens when you start...
part of this is like why we're in the situation we're in, I think. Because people did go, and I've done this personally, where it's like someone's beliefs are incredibly hurtful to other people, and you try to vocalize that, and you get like denied or yelled at or told shut up, and you're like, all right, whatever, do whatever you gotta do. But then everyone feels emboldened to feel this way, that like, oh yeah, being really mean and insane is like totally fine. No one's checking me on this, so it must be accepted. It's like validating. You're just validating people's bad behavior, I feel like, by not saying something sometimes.
Or to implement the Let Them Theory in your life. When you start to say let them, and you let people be themselves, you create space for change and transformation. Like, it's kind of crazy. The more you stop trying to control everybody else, the more control you gain. The more you let other people be themselves, the better your relationships become. And what I'm going to do today with you is I'm inviting you to sit down with me and my daughter, and we're going to unpack our mother-daughter relationship. And I promise you, you're going to see yourself. You're going to see yourself with your siblings. You may see yourself with your parents. You may see yourself with your adult kids.
Test.
You will definitely see yourself with your significant other, whether you're married or dating or whatever. Because the ultimate topic that we're talking about truly is that in most relationships, there's this invisible distance between you and another person. It's sort of this space that gets created over time with the people that you've known the longest, or the people that you love the most, or the people that you're related to. And it's this distance that gets created. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. The small things that you try to let go, the passive aggressive comments, the things that you feel kind of resentful or upset about that maybe happened in the past that you'd never quite gotten over.
It's been 5 minutes. We've not heard one word from her daughter yet. We heard from her in the beginning because those were previews for the rest of the conversation. Thus far in the intro, we have not heard from her daughter yet. Hi. Nothing.
It's not even that the relationship's horrible. Maybe it's that you really wish you were closer to your siblings. but there's just something there that you can't explain that makes it feel impossible to just feel closer. Or maybe you wish there was just less drama and friction with your adult kids or with your parents or with their significant other. That there are times where it's fun. You really think things are okay, but you just can't quite get closer and have it be better all the time. And so in the process of working on the Let Them Theory book over the last year and using the Let Them Theory, my daughter and I truly, deeply, authentically, for real, erased the distance and really became close in a way that we both really wanted to, but never knew how.
Well, I think I'm gonna just put my Mel Robbins theory out there. I'm gonna copyright Mel Robbins theory. My Mel Robbins theory is that the only way that she wanted to spend time with her kid is that there was money to be made from it. Hey, my daughter sent me this. Maybe I could, manipulate this into a story about how my daughter and I repaired our relationship and then we made this book together. That'll get people really hooked. That'll get more subscribers, more podcast viewers. Yeah, let's do that. We'll build a whole narrative around it because my daughter and I don't like each other. But that's not serving me in any monetary way. I don't really give a shit because I'm making money and I get to do whatever I want and feel like I'm, queen of the world. So in order for me to even give any of this attention, I need to be profiting. And there you go. Here she is.
And so I invite you to pull up a seat and to join me and my daughter Sawyer. And before we jump in, I just want to take a moment too and welcome you if you're brand new. Because if you're listening to this episode as the first episode that you're listening to of the Mel Robbins podcast, it tells me something about you.
Third person.
First of all, either somebody that really loves you and wants to either be closer to you or wants you to be closer to people in your life sent this to you, which means you have people around you that deeply care about you. And they wanted you to listen to this because they know that this conversation is going to help you improve your life and your relationships, and it will. The second thing it tells me is that you actually care about your relationships because you saw this episode and you hit play. And so my daughter and I are sitting down and we are going to unpack the lessons.
Literally, this is her books. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. And we're going to do this, and we're going to do it because we want to. And we're going to show you exactly how to do it. And the way we're going to show you how to do it is the way you do it. And that's really important. And you know that it's good for you. And I've learned from my years of experience that doing this is going to help you. So I'm going to tell you in 1 second how to do it. It's like, what is the thing you haven't said yet? We've been talking in circles already for 10 minutes.
That we've learned the hard way. So hopefully we can save you the headache and heartache and upset and distance that we created in our relationship as mom and daughter. And you can learn from our mistakes and you can learn from the things that we learned this year as we used the Let Them Theory.
I get it.
And as we wrote about it and researched it. And there's one thing I know for sure. You will never look at relationships the same again after joining me and my daughter Sawyer. And with that, I just said...
You are not that profound. I'm sorry to say, Mel Robbins. Come on, give me a break.
Your name very weird, Sawyer. I don't know why I said it weird like that.
Sawyer.
Sawyer, welcome to the Mel Robbins podcast. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Thanks, Mom.
And so I guess where we should start is we're going to tell you a little bit about our relationship prior to the past year, where we've had this experience of working together on this project of writing and then releasing the Let Them Theory book. And it all happened by accident. None of this happened on purpose. And that's another really important thing, that at any moment you can change the way your relationship feels. And as Sawyer and I are sharing with you our experiences and what our relationship used to feel like, I'm just going to ask you to be thinking about the people in your life, whether it's a sister or a brother, or it's an in-law, or it's a colleague at work, or it's a friend.
Jesus freaking Christ. Like, I can't. This is what the podcast is. This is what the podcast, the top podcast in the world is. Oh, my daughter's here. Hi. Thanks. Think about my daughter as your daughter, your coworker, your teacher, a dentist that you heard that was moving away from the Boulder area. It's like, get to the goddamn point. Again, though, this is how her entire, this must be the real theory. Beat around the bush theory. That if you just say enough words in a confident manner, people will think you're really smart and give you their money.
And that, I don't know, it's like the way that I would describe our relationship, and then I'm going to just throw it over to you, almost like a professional roasting, Sawyer, is that I desperately wanted to be closer to you, but I didn't know how to be.
Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, right.
Your turn.
That's it. Okay. Good setup. I think I always wanted to be, I knew I always wanted to be closer with you. And I think if I think back to before working together, our relationship, it wasn't horrible. I do have to preface. It was not horrible, but I don't think it was great.
I want to dig in here because I would put our relationship, Sawyer, you're 25.
Mm-hmm.
You're the oldest of 3. I'm 56. Compared to a lot of people's relationships, our relationship is great. We talk a lot.
Well, she was like, it's getting too real. We gotta set the record straight that our relationship is great compared to everyone else's. It's amazing, but it could have been better because we're perfect and we should always aim for perfection because we are the Robbins. We are farmers of dun. So therefore, she's got to correct the record. No, we had a great relationship. My daughter's an idiot.
Each other's texts. We love seeing each other. But there was something underneath the surface that made it not so great. And what was that for you? And please, just let me have it. Don't worry about my feelings. Just the more you can explain your experience as the daughter, I think the more powerful this conversation is going to be for the person that is here with us right now.
Everything that I'm about to say, I think was very unintentional on your part. But I think after a lot of therapy and just reflecting on myself, and I think especially working with you, I've recognized this since. But before growing up, I always thought it was intentional. And so I think a huge thing is the fact that you were never home and you were always on the road. And then when you came home, all you did was talk about work.
And
this is going to be Rachel Hollis's kids too, I think. They're going to say the exact same thing and more.
And I think that from my perspective as your kid, all I wanted you to do when you came home was come to my games and prioritize me and give me attention. And it just felt like it wasn't there unless we were asking you about your work. And I think on a
she looks not happy to hear this. She's like, I was lying when I said, give it to me. You're supposed to say, you were so giving that it was hard to live up to how giving you were and how helpful you were to people. That's what I was really hard. It was hard for me as a kid. Mom, I love you. She's looking at her shut the fuck up, Sawyer.
No, my sister Kendall, she is younger than me by 18 months. She is a phenomenal singer and she is pursuing a career out in LA, and she grew up as a performer and she grew up in the spotlight. And I think she is on the same track as you in being in the spotlight and being out in the world and people recognizing you, which is unbelievable. But I think I saw the both of you always relating on that and feeling very jealous that I didn't have a natural talent that I could deliver that would connect me to the two of you. So I always saw you guys as on the other side of the room, and her getting all the praise for all the singing, and which she deserves and is amazing. But at the same time, I was just like, oh, I can't relate to my mom or my sister. Like, I'm different. I don't have a natural ability.
She looks very angry. I don't really believe in like the body language thing where it's like, he moved his eye, that means he's lying. Like, I don't think that that's a science in any, reliable way. But I do feel like you can kind of get a vibe off of somebody if they're happy or if they're engaged. And she looks, to me in this moment, Mel Robbins, pissed and uncomfortable. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Every time I'm addressed, it's, oh, you're Kendall's sister. Oh, are you the singer? Or are you Mel Robbins' daughter? That's awesome. It's never like, oh, you're Sawyer. It's so nice to meet you. And so it was always, I was a product of you or Kendall. And I think that really made me, I think, just resent you, honestly. And so instead of being
pissed, seething, great word, Lou, seething is what I'm feeling as well.
Really celebratory of your work and how much you worked and just you as a person, I think I saw it as all these fans, all these people out there who love my mom are taking my mom away from me. And so therefore, I'm not annoyed at all them. I'm annoyed at her.
Yeah, because it's money. It's just it's dollar bills are these people. It's not the people that are taking the time. It's the dollar bills that they represent, which is even worse.
Go back in time, though, and if you could explain even how this dynamic was in place before the level of kind of recognition that this podcast has brought, because it's a whole, in my experience, it's a whole different ballgame in the past 2 years than it was when we lived in Sherburne. And so could you share a little bit about your experience even in middle school and high school?
In high school and in middle school, there
was no validation there in that response of like, oh, I hear you, and I'm so glad that we've worked through these issues, and I'm so happy that, we've come to the other side and that I got to see the error of my ways. It's like, no, tell them about a time where I sound better. How about? Bayer TV. Bayer TV has a comment. Bayer TV says, "Hey Kia, I'm sorry to report that my book club chose Let Them for next month. I was upset, but then I remembered I don't do Overwhelm." An angel came to me on my shoulder and said, "No, I don't do Overwhelm.
I don't do murder. That is not a thing I do."
It's a new theory called I don't do murder theory. Do you do murders?
No.
Oof. Well, enjoy your book club, Bayer TV. I apologize. It's going to be a short event. You can go right to the cheese eating.
I've been an alpha female.
And that's a good thing. I have this to say. My last thing.
I'm going to stomp you.
Tell that to the book clubbies. Okay, back to it. Thank you.
We're on the road upwards of 200 days in the year. And I think as you were gone, I felt myself growing closer to Dad and growing closer to Kendall and Oakley because we were always together. And then when you would come home, it felt like I think it was a story I was telling myself, but it felt in my eyes like you either were talking about work or you were talking about Kendall. And how are we going to grow Kendall's singing career? And how are we going to do this? And all of the plays and all this stuff, which is unbelievable. But I think that was really my impression is she's a workaholic, which she still is. But I have more of an appreciation for it now.
Honestly, kudos to her for being this honest. A lot of people would not be comfortable. They would just placate their mom and say whatever they have to say, to make them like them. And the fact that she's being totally honest on the podcast, I'm like, Hell yeah, girl. I appreciate it.
And the fact that I just had this story in my head that it was like all I wanted was your attention, and I felt like it was going everywhere but me.
I think it was. It definitely was. And I'm sorry.
I mean, that's good.
That's okay.
It's not okay.
I forgive you.
Well, I think every working parent, especially those of us that have a job that requires travel, kind of has that like, ooh.
Requires? I think you're choosing to work this much.
In your heart, because there are times in your life where just out of necessity, you got to be on the road because that's what your job demands.
Okay, all right. Now this is where I go, you said I'm sorry, it's not okay, but it's not my fault because my job demands it. And she said that like 3 times. My job demands it. My job requires it. Other working parents know how that is when their job requires it. There's other jobs in the world, number 1. Number 2, you've been wealthy before you had kids. So did you have to do every 200 a year to make it ends meet? Give me a break. You didn't have to do 200 days a year. You could have done 100. You're a workaholic because you like it. But these are the repercussions of that. Just admit that to yourself.
And I guess I was lucky enough that Dad was home full time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree with you that I was consumed with work because I was so scared about the amount of debt we were in and just the...
Now she's mad at the husband because he didn't. Now I know this for sure because it was part of an article that I read today, so I brushed up on their past. But she was upset when her husband got laid off and didn't want to get a job right away because she was working, and he was like, you should pick up the slack while I figure out my life. And she was like, no, actually, you should get a job right away. I don't care if you like it or not. You should like contribute more to the family. And because they were starting a family at the time. And so she's like, I'm a liberal, but I, at that moment, was very into traditional gender roles in our marriage because he decided to like take a break to figure out what he wanted to do next. And she's now going to say like, oh, the debt that we were in, I was worried. It's like, none of it is like, I am this person and I'm sorry that I'm this person. That I just love, I'm obsessed with work and I like when people worship me. I have a thing about it. It makes me feel really good and I don't know how to stop. That's the truth, I think. What she's blaming it on is her job made her do it. And she only did it because her husband put her in debt. So it's actually his fault. This sounds like my mother in many, many ways.
Relentless pressure I felt for almost a decade to be able to replace all the money that we had lost in the business and to get out of credit card debt and to be able to pay for college.
And now it's your fault. Now it's your fault because you went to college. This is not a good apology. It was good. The first line, stop it there. I'm sorry I did that to you. You didn't deserve that. Done. There is no caveat, but also. Not good.
The things that I wanted to do. And you're right, like too many people, I spent too many years working and chasing the next thing because of the debt we were in.
That's not the
reason. And I missed out on a lot. And so I can see why your experience was that I was always gone. And when I was home, I was talking about work or I was getting ready to leave on the next trip. Or, Kendall, who is definitely way more emotional than you are, at least outwardly, was getting a lot of the attention. And I think this happens a lot with the oldest kid, that you kind of assume the role of responsibility and you became very stoic. And as much as I was trying to reach you, I didn't worry about you as much because you didn't emote as much. And that's not your problem as the parent. It's my responsibility.
Well, she probably didn't fluff her ego. She was probably upset that her mom wasn't there as a mom. And if the other daughter wanted to be famous or whatever, she probably thought, oh, okay, we have something in common. I'm going to get her to be famous like me. I can do that. But this daughter wanted her home, and she's like, well, I'm not going to give up my dreams for you.
Know who you are and to find ways to really reach you. But I didn't know how. It almost felt like, especially in high school, that you were pissed off at me and that you had crossed your arms and you were standing off on the side and that you were like, you're not going to get to me. You don't get access to me. Is that true?
I think looking back, I pouted a little bit for sure.
Which is a normal and honestly healthy reaction to feeling that way about a dynamic at home. And they're not looking at each other. She's looking off because it's uncomfortable. She's looking off the other way. This is grossly uncomfortable, but I think helpful, hopefully, to Sawyer.
But I think definitely a little emotionally immature, acting like an 8-year-old, which you'll learn in the Let Them Theory book. I think another thing with families that happens a lot is I naturally am a lot more similar to Dad. And Kendall is a lot more similar to you. And I think Oakley is like a beautiful combination of you both.
It's not like something horrible happened.
No, not at all.
I think most relationships have this like invisible distance, and you can feel it and you can't quite understand why it's there. And if it's with somebody that you deeply love and that you have cared about for a long time, that distance and that sort of resentment that starts to build up is death by 1,000 cuts. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's over and over and over again, somebody feeling like they don't matter to you. And, you know, honestly, when you're the parent, Sawyer, it's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm. But I was in debt, so it's excused. And you went to college,
that your children know that you matter to them. It's not your responsibility as the child to make me know that I matter to you. It's my responsibility as the parent to provide that to you, just like it's my responsibility to provide you with food and water and shelter.
Which I did because I worked so hard.
Me showing up in a way that makes you feel seen. Me showing up in a way that makes you feel like you're a priority. Me showing up in a way where I'm actually emotionally calm and I'm not tantruming or taking my stress out on all of you. That was something I didn't do. And so I did not provide you with what you needed. I fully own that.
I appreciate you saying that. Love you. And I also want to say, though, that I think there was a lot of times in our relationship where you really did try. Like, you actively were constantly trying to break the barrier between our relationship.
What were some of the things that I tried to do? Because I know what I tried to do.
Well, first of all,
tell me about the things that I did really good, because you're making me look like a bitch. So you need to repair that now.
You tried to, let's go to the mall, Sawyer, and let's buy you a few things so you don't dislike me.
Yes.
Which I think for those,
it's not good. So, okay, back to money. So money is the solution to all problems. That does align with Mel Robbins' actual philosophy.
Of you whose love language is gifting, I think it worked in the moment, and then the next day something would happen that would reconfirm this story I was telling myself, that she doesn't care about me, and then it was back to this force field between us. And that's what I was going to say, is that I think there was things that happened over time that raised the force field, and then everything after that just reconfirmed it and made me feel like I was always already listening for that message versus I completely shut out the you matter, here's your gifts, here's that, the other, like I'm showing up to your game. I already had decided in my mind that this is the story.
She's blaming herself, and it's like, no, you were smart for picking up on her true feelings, which is probably like, you're not as important because you're not going to be famous, and I only really care about boosting myself and boosting others that make me look good. So in that case, yeah, you drop down the levels of importance to somebody. That's narcissistic, in my opinion. I'm not saying diagnosable narcissist, but I'm saying narcissistic person that thinks this, who has a podcast with their name in it.
I'm going to tell myself, which is my mom doesn't care about me, and I am going to go pout in the corner so she comes closer and closer to me, versus trying to...
Again, that's what children do, and that's not your fault.
Approach you in another way. And I think what didn't help that is that outside of the house and outside of our family, every single second, it was getting reconfirmed by strangers and by my friends, which is, oh, you're Kendall's sister. Oh my God, Kendall's blah, 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 blah. Oh my gosh, you're Mel Robbins' daughter. I love her so much. Like, can you give me your number so I can get to her? Like, give me your email so I can get to her. It was always how can I use Sawyer to get to Kendall or mom? And so I think that it was in the house, I was telling myself this, but also outside, it was kind of like other people were reconfirming that for me. And so I made the force field
See, I'd much rather listen to her talk, because I feel like she's got an honesty and a not in your face, but like a very much like, this is what happened. This is how I felt about it. And this is what that to me is way more helpful than a bullshit canned response of, you can let them and imagine that this is your teacher or someone in your life that you could relate to. Like, this is, I feel like, how I learn and actually get something from it, where someone's just being themselves. And I appreciate this so much. I don't think Mel likes it, again, because she's got a prescriptive way of being that she can make money, and this is not it on her end.
Destructible.
I think that's a very common experience, even when someone in your family doesn't have a public-facing career. Like, if
she devalues everything she says. She's like, what your experience is like a common thing. It's not something that I've done to you. The reason you felt that way is because I only cared about our family because we were in so much debt. She does not agree with what her daughter's saying. She does not take responsibility for it. And she's going to try to devalue everything so she doesn't look as bad.
If you're the person in your family that's the middle child in a big family, or you're the youngest in a big family, you feel invisible. And you show up at school and you're Joey's little brother, or, oh, here we go, we've got another, one of the Mitchells, or, here comes another Jones through the school, that you start to feel invisible in the kind of reputation of the family or what your siblings did ahead of you. So I think that's a very common thing. So would you say that once you decided my mom doesn't care about me, it was going to be very difficult for me to somehow shatter that force field that you put up?
Yeah. Again, like blaming her. Like, well, you put up a force field. She was a child. That's what children do because they can't escape a situation. They deal with it psychologically any way they can. And being protective of yourself is actually a coping mechanism that is fairly smart and healthy at that age. I'm not a psychologist, but I would imagine, what are her options? Scream, get arrested? Like, what is she going to do to get through to her mom? She's like, okay, I'm just going to, isolate so I don't get hurt all the time. She's acting like a jerk, I think, really.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
I think it wouldn't be until I showed up differently that our relationship would get better.
Wrong.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not good.
I'd like to know I had more power here. I appreciate you saying that, because it takes time to shift the dynamic. And if somebody is committed to making you the villain in their story, or if they're committed to being the victim,
oh my God,
every time they tell the narrative of their family,
this is gaslighting.
It's pretty
101.
hard for people to let go of victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hard for people to change the identity that they got screwed over, or that their family, everybody's crazy, or nobody cares about them, or I make the effort, but nobody else does. And when you get on that storyline, it's a very powerful thing to tell yourself, because you feel.
Wow. That was pretty wild. Yeah. Oh, well, you were a victim as a child and you're going to hold on to your victimhood. Otherwise, you would have, I would have been the best mom to you. But because you put up a wall all on your own, you didn't give me a way in. People are attached to their victimhood. This is your daughter, first of all. And second of all, again, the only people who really benefit from you not thinking you're a victim is the perpetrator. To think that you, as a child should have dealt with your mother differently, sure, you can think that. But at the end of the day, it's your mother's responsibility that if you're feeling neglected, that she addresses that, not yours. And to even give it an inkling of, oh, thanks for saying that. Yeah, people hold on to their victimhood and they make you the villain. That's not what we're talking about. There's no acknowledgement of this is what happened. And it doesn't matter what you think. If that's how she interpreted it as a child, she has every right to feel that way. God, seriously, this is like my mother, but like my mom's way less, successful and didn't have the work thing. But just the way that she will gaslight you into everything being your fault or someone else's fault beyond her control is very similar.
Right.
Totally.
And anger and resentment, it can become the substitute for the love that you actually crave. And the second that you say, well, I was wrong about them.
She's not wrong.
Or you attempt to step out of the story where you're the victim and you step into someone else's shoes and try to understand what it might have been like for them, just to see a different perspective, nothing's going to change. But in the conversation today, I actually do think people can change. And I do think if you're willing to examine your own storyline and ask yourself, well, I realize that this has been the story. I realize
it sounds like you're the victim. I was in debt. That's why I did this. Oh, you had to go to college. That's why I did this. Oh, victim. Doesn't sound like you're the, controlling one of this at all.
That it's been for a long time that my sister doesn't care about me, or that my in-laws are selfish, or that I'm invisible in my family and nobody cares. If that's the story and it's been this way for a very long time, nothing is going to change unless you ask yourself the question, well, what do I actually want? Is this how I want it to be? And if you don't want it to continue to be this way, the one person that can change it is you. And
if you're being abused, the only person that can change is you. So let them abuse you and change your perspective on it. They must be in debt. That's why they're acting this way.
I want to be very clear. Your experience as a child is exactly aligned with the mother that you had. I was not available. I was desperately trying to save our family from financial ruin.
This bitch is crazy. Again, that's not that it makes you a hero again. I was willing to sacrifice my daughter and I's relationship to save our family from financial ruin. Again, that makes your husband look like a dweeb as well. Like, oh, I was the only one. I had to work 200 days a year because my husband's a loser. That's what she's saying. Again, read between the lines of this. I'm the only one that could have saved our family. So therefore, it was a worthwhile sacrifice. Not that I was selfish and decided to have a career that forced me to travel 200 days a year so I could be on stage and be praised for my thoughts that I've stolen from the internet.
And I was in panic mode all the time. And I didn't know how to build a business. I didn't know how to do what I was doing. And so I was constantly feeling behind, and I could not do what I was doing and also be an awesome mom at the same time. And so I own that. And I also, though,
awesome
thank you. And I appreciate that you can, from where you are now and looking back at the dynamic, see what was on my side in terms of the responsibility, and also be mature enough to say, I can see that I crossed my arms back in elementary school and was like, well, she likes Kendall more. And I'm more like dad. So I'm just going to go over here in the corner and be silent and hold it all in and see if she notices me.
I think you were trying to reach out your hand towards the end. And I think I still was in that cross my arms, I'm mad at you and I like to be mad at you because then you give me more attention phase.
Ooh, can we just stop right there? Because I think that's something people can really relate to. That if I'm mad at you.
She's even doing it now. What's important in this conversation? Oh, what other people can take from this conversation, the other dollars out there in the world, what they can gain so they can feel like this is valuable so they can send it to their friends so that I can make more money. Not to actually deal with the situation at hand, which is your daughter's expressing pretty serious things to you, pretty deeply emotionally vulnerable things with you. She is so quick to go, no, that's not what happened. Here's what actually happened because I was in debt and our family was out there in ruin. And also, this is good for other people to hear because their sisters might hate them too. It's like, she's 100% right. Her picking up on this subconsciously, at the very least, was spot on. She's got good instincts.
I'm naturally going to want to make it up to you. And I have this dynamic with people in my life where I feel I'm constantly in trouble and they're keeping score. And that when they're annoyed with me and I can hear it in their tone of voice, that I now have to somehow smooth this over. And I definitely felt that dynamic with you. And I love that you can admit that you liked being mad at me.
Yeah, it was great.
What was great about it? No, seriously, what was great about it?
I felt like when I was mad at you, then you actually gave me the time of day.
Sad.
And it wasn't until I was in tears or I needed help or I needed some advice, aka your career, that you actually genuinely were paying attention to me without your phone in your hand, without thinking about other things. It was almost like if I was in trouble or I was mad at you or I was in a emergency situation, that is when I would get your full attention. And that is the only time I would get your full attention. And so
probably because she was worried that it was going to make her look bad. And that's why she cared at that moment. Otherwise, no harm, no foul.
Felt like I was training you unconsciously. Like I had no idea that I was doing this, but that I was training you to come closer to me whenever I was mad at you.
Wow.
Seek help.
Because my experience of being your mother is that especially once you got to high school, you were like, done with me. I don't need you. I don't want you. I want your credit card. I want the keys to your car. And I want you to shut up and just not bother me.
But that's a response from being neglected. That's not because your daughter's a bitch. That's because it's like, I tried in my child way to get your attention. It didn't work. I'm at an age now where I resent you for it and I'm going to live my own life now. That makes sense to me.
And so I started to comply. And I wanted something different, but I just didn't know how to do anything different or reach you without you being so annoyed or angry with me all the time. It's true.
It was all because I looked up to you and wanted to be you. And I think that was like the same thing with Kendall too. It was like, I just wanted to be her. And I didn't know how to communicate that. And so instead of being like, I'm so proud of you, I want to learn from you, I want to go in the same direction, or I don't know what I want to do, but I think what you're doing is so cool. Instead, I was just like, I can never do that. And so therefore, I'm going to punish them.
Well, I think the problem here is that Mel did not make the kids feel equal. And she sounds like she prioritized Kendall, who had the skills to be a singer or whatever. And so she learned, if I just act like my mom, I'll get her attention. And she found out that it didn't work for her. She's like, I'm trying to figure out who I am. And, you know, my mom only wants to talk to me if I have a big crisis or if I was more skillful. Again, this is like not her fault.
Such a relatable experience. I am so grateful that we're having this conversation, Zoe, and I'm grateful that you're together with us, because I know that this conversation is going to improve your relationships, and you're going to feel so much better if you truly take to heart everything that we're sharing. And I cannot...
Again, now she's speaking to the audience. It was 1 second of her daughter. Now she's speaking to her audience. Oh, you're going to learn so much from this.
Wait to see who you share this conversation with.
She can't even have a conversation on the podcast without being distracted by other people and money.
And so let's fast forward to the part of the story where you go through college and you're out working for this massive cybersecurity firm. You're in your early 20s. You're like getting promoted. You have all this stuff. You're saving money, and you decide that you're going to take this trip and backpack solo around Asia, something you've wanted to do since you were a little girl. You go realize this dream. And then what happens?
So I quit my job and I go to Asia for 4 months and backpack solo to 7 different countries. And it was so amazing. I was on such a high. I came back from my trip. I immediately wanted to go back, but I had no money. And it was the middle of winter up in Vermont. I have moved back home, living with my parents at 25.
This is a year ago, almost to the day.
A year ago, almost to the day. And
What were you thinking about the fact that you're moving in with me and Dad?
Yeah.
I thought it was temporary. And so...
Well, I hope it is. I love you, but I hope it is.
Well, I'm still living here for everyone. But I thought it was temporary. And so I thought this is going to be a great refresh. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to get a job within like 3 weeks of getting back. Like, this will be totally fine. And then I get back and I just crumble with everything. I am crying every day. I have no idea how to process my emotions after I just completed like the biggest goal I've ever had in my life. And it's over. And what am I going to do now? And I can't go back into the corporate world, but I will never work for my mother. And Mom approaches me. And ever so slyly, she says, "Hey, Soy, you need money, clearly, and I need a little bit of help. How about you work on, for the entire next week, a little research project that I call the Let Them Theory. And I will pay you."
Little research project. Go and search for this poem that's already been written. Send it to me. We can erase the name on Photoshop. Okay. This is rough.
However much, I think it was like $50.
No, it was like I was going to pay a professional researcher, like $40 an hour, because the Let Them Theory, I had stumbled upon it many.
Okay, we got to go back for a second, but that sounds like bullshit. She's like, "Yeah, you gave me $50 to do your book that made millions." No, I didn't. That never happened. Okay, she's going to say she stumbled upon this theory and she discovered it in a vault somewhere.
No, it was like I was going to pay a professional researcher, like $40 an hour, because the Let Them Theory, I had stumbled upon it many months ago. I had shared it online. It had gone crazy viral. We had done one podcast episode about it, and that podcast episode became the...
Again, where's the... I discovered it. I shared it. What is it? A human being wrote it. Why are you avoiding that fact? Because it makes her look bad. That's why.
6th most shared episode on all of Apple Podcasts of the year. And so when something goes that crazy,
I
I'm
profit.
I need to dig in deeper and I need to understand why is this
From a monetary perspective, it made the most business sense.
resonating? Why are people getting tattoos that say let them? Before I commit to writing a book about this thing, let's dig into the research and see what all of you are telling us the power of the let them theory is. And so I was going to hire somebody to do it. And so I thought, because I was very clear, you don't want to work for me. You've always said, I don't want to work for you. I don't want to work for you, which I respect. You want to have your own path in life.
That's telling.
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely follow your own path. But I was like, okay, we both have a problem. Let's see if we can solve it together. And so you took on this project, $40 an hour, I think it was, to do a quick research project for 2 weeks where I gave you the thing that had gone viral initially, like a 60-second thing, and I gave her the podcast episode.
The thing that went viral, a 60-second thing. I'm assuming that's what she means, like someone read the poem. She's really downplaying again. She devalues everything that other people do, and she props up everything that she does. A 60-second thing. I've invented a theory. I've discovered a theory. Ooh, it's so amazing, and it's backed by neuroscience. Ooh, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this little thing that I found, I don't know, it's a 60-second thing.
And said, I want you to dig into the comments. And I expected you to come back within 2 weeks and kind of give me a couple pages of analysis, but that's not what happened. Within 27 hours, Sawyer produced a 36-page document that was a active Excel table with color-coded drop-down menus and source links, including not only the 36 pages of citation and analysis and color coding and drop-down menus, but a 2-page synopsis, which also included the fact that she said, Mom, you can't write this book. Because what I'm seeing in the comments is 90% of it's amazing, but 10% of people are saying, I'm saying let them, and I'm really lonely. I'm saying let them, and I see that my friends don't call me back. I'm saying let them, and I see I'm the one in my family that makes all the effort. We cannot do a book about something that makes people lonely. There has to be a second part. Now, meanwhile, as she's saying this to me, I'm holding this very thick packet of information.
So it was her idea to even have a second part. Mel Robbins is like, I just want to steal this woman's poem and put it on a piece of paper and put my name on it. Can I do that? She's like, no, you should probably have something of your own to add to it. Okay, so she didn't even come up with the idea to have her own part of it. That was her daughter, who she left off of the cover. Got it.
That looks like some sort of marketing engineer has used AI to create. And I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, oh my God, I think for the first time in your life, I actually understand the way your brain works. That you basically have a supercomputer between those bright blue eyes and those beautiful ears and smile that is.
Well, she probably never paid attention because it never financially benefited her before to pay attention that her daughter's smart.
Crunching data all the time. And if you don't have a monster of a project to aim it at, you aim it at yourself. And it made me want to cry because I understood immediately why you're so hard on yourself and why you're always in your head. And then the second reaction.
No, I don't think that's it. I think probably because she felt like she was second rung to her siblings and that you didn't care about her. That probably would also make her feel that way.
Action that I had was, holy shit, I got to figure out how she can work for me because this kid is a genius. I've never seen anybody do research like this before.
This kid needs to work for me. That's her takeaway. Not, my daughter's smart. She can do anything she wants to do. Now she's like, labor that I can exploit in my own family? Perfect.
I have never seen something organized like this before. The analysis was spot on. And I will tell you point blank, that the reason why the let them theory has 2 steps, step 1 being say, let them. And let them is where you detach from controlling another person and you let them be who they are. And step 2 is 1000% because of Sawyer. And step 2 is let me.
So the first part is stolen. The second part is the daughter, whose name is on the cover. The one that had nothing to do with either one.
That's where you say, let me, and you direct yourself to the truth, which is the only thing that you can control in any relationship or your life or your career is you. Your response, what you think, what you say, what you do, how you process your emotions. And that's where you get to take responsibility for your life. That's where all the control and power comes. Because when you say, let me, you're reminding yourself that it's both your responsibility to figure out what you want to do. And let's talk about the word responsibility. Responsibility just means the ability to respond. And in our case, one of the things that has been absolutely unbelievable around the let them theory is that it's not only stopped you and me from trying to control the other person, but in saying let them to each other. I say let them when Sawyer seems intense. I say let them when Sawyer seems pissed off at me. I say let them when Sawyer kind of has...
Maybe instead of let them, it should be, can I help? Can we talk? Can we? How about we? Instead of let them, how about let us work together to talk, to actually bond together as mother and daughter in a meaningful way. Let me examine my own issues so that I can be there for my kid. Let them when my daughter's being a biatch. See, this is a toxic kind of method, I think, honestly, because it devalues the person sitting in front of you, giving you, where's the line where let them do their thing, let them be themselves. That's not the same thing as someone coming to you vulnerably and saying, you hurt my feelings. Let them be mad. Let them be mad. It's like, don't you owe them a, hey, let's work this out? Why? It's both of them going back and forth, letting each other do their own thing. That's not intimacy. That's not closeness. That is separating your feelings from another person, which is only really helpful if that person is awful that you're dealing with, not your closest loved ones.
As that crossed-armed vibe. And then I say, let me decide how I'm going to show up right now. And there are moments where I choose to step toward you and to try to make sure you know that I'm here. And then there are moments where I say, let me just give her space. Instead of micromanaging her and thinking something's wrong, let me just respect her as a 25-year-old human being who is allowed to have experiences in life that may be challenging. And I don't need to step in and mother her. I don't need to step in and smother her. I can just let her be intense about work right now because there's a lot going on. And so long and the short of it is, you agreed to step on and help me write the Let Them Theory book.
I still can't believe it.
Why can't you believe it?
I am not a writer. Like, I am not.
I beg to differ, but go ahead.
And I just remember you saying, Sawyer, I think we need to write this book together. And after loving the research project, I signed up and said, okay, but not full time. I will be on the side and I will be a contractor. And then I was
hold
still
on. This is
resistance.
actually really important because I gotta give you massive props for boundaries. So notice what she's doing. Because here's the thing, in any relationship, when things start to shift, it doesn't shift like that. These dynamics between you and the people in your life, whether it's your mother or your father or your sister or your brother.
Yeah, true.
Or maybe it's your adult kids. These dynamics.
Again, she's expanding it out to the world to make it relatable to the people listening, which I know is a tactic, but it's like, she's not doing that. She's being honest and coming from a place of my lived experience. And Mel is like, I heard your experience. Now let's apply it to the world. Again, to retain money,
Dynamics have been in place for a very long time. You both have stories about each other. And you got to be willing to, first of all, go, well, what do I actually want? I know what I have. What do I actually want? And the thing is, before the Let Them theory book and before the tools of Let Them and Let Me, we had a lot of fun together. We could get drunk and hang out and party. We can go out to dinner. We can go on mother-daughter trips with everybody else and post all the photos. But underneath all the veneer, there is that sense of I'm not a priority and this doesn't understand me because she's always working and I got to do it on my own. And dad's the one that's there for me, not her. And I had this sense of no matter what I do, Sawyer's never going to warm up to me. Like, I know she loves me, but she is intentional about needing to separate and not let me in. And I can feel it. Like, you can feel it when somebody in your life is like arms crossed, swords up. I'll let you in when I feel like it, or I've had a couple tequilas. Like, it's just, there's people in your life like that.
Mel Robbins is exactly the same as Rachel Hollis in the sense of she's claimed many times that she's an alcoholic or was an alcoholic. And that was part of her sob story as to why she had to pull herself up from her bootstraps and count back from 5 and fix her life, is because she was in debt and she was an alcoholic. Yet at every turn, she loves tequila. She loves a cocktail. Ooh, wine o'clock all the time. Constantly. And it's like, it cannot be both. It cannot be the bane of your existence and something you overcame by going to self-help seminars. At the same time, something you completely enjoy and talk about as a joke and helps you parent better. It's like they all want to be both a mess and a success at every turn. It's annoying.
And you may have good reason to have those boundaries up because they've hurt you and because they're not predictable. And the more that I was working on myself and the more you started working on yourself and the more we both knew we just wanted to be closer without the bullshit between us, that's where the opening happens. But first you got to decide, I want to change the story here that I'm telling myself for the sake of experiencing something different.
And at this point, I was not in the mindset, I'm doing this to improve my relationship with my mom. Like, that is not what I was going into this. It was, I need some moolah, and she's got it. So I just want to put that out there, that this was not in a intentional self-discovery, I need to improve my relationship with my mother. This was how my mom marketed it, was, this is a launching pad. And I said, great. It sounds... For New York.
Yes.
And for your next gig. And you can learn as much as you want.
To get away from you and this toxic situation that I find myself in.
You can stay for as long as you want. There is no guardrails, but I really need some help with this project. So for however long you wish, it's up to you and we can get started. And I had said, okay, fine, but I'm never going to be full time. And
let them.
And I think it's so hilarious because growing up, every single week, I think, mom would say once a week, I just can't wait to have a family business.
I wanted so desperately for you guys to be part of a family business because I saw how that kept my mom's family in close proximity in upstate New York. And I just figured the world is so busy. How cool would it be to all have work to keep us together? And since the work...
You are gone 200 days a year. I think it's the only way that she will find her family worthwhile to be around is if she's profiting at the same time, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Killing 2 birds with 1 relationship. Oh, I get to make content and have a conversation? Okay, now it's worth it to me all of a sudden.
Work is digital and interesting and media. There's lots of different things you could do. So I always saw it as, why would I want someone else to run this business? Why wouldn't I want one of you to run this business? And what a better way to be able to be together than to work together. And I will say the experience of seeing you as a colleague has been an extraordinary gift because I get to see how your mind works.
Well, that's the only reason that she's giving her any attention now. is because, oh, you're working for me. You're giving me something that I value. I don't value you as a person without contribution. That's what she's saying. And now that you help me on my career, now all of a sudden I give a shit. Which to a boss situation, that's fine. That's a fair trade-off. I care about you because you're helping me do something and I'm paying you for it, and it's a back and forth consensual thing. When it's your mom, you want your mom to care if you're the biggest loser in the world. Bottom line, unfortunately, that is not the mothers that many people have, including myself.
I get to see you in meetings with Audible and Hay House and the PR teams and the Today Show. And it's
Finally,
just
you're
incredible
valuable.
to get to see a completely different dimension of who you are. And I think if you've got a kid or a sibling or a parent that is an athlete, or they're an artist, or they do something where you can see this side of them, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of us that don't perform, like, who knew your skill was a supercomputer brain that can do digital marketing and project management and be a business lead? Like, that doesn't come out when you're little. And I probably would never have seen it in you, but for the fact that we had this experience of writing the book together. And I'm saying this because I love thinking you don't know the people you think you know. That there's a whole different side of the person that you love that you've never even experienced before. Whether it's artistic talent or a knack for writing poetry, or they're an incredible sense of direction out in the woods and they can guide you anywhere. That the stories that we tell ourselves about the people that we know the best trap us in a relationship with that version of the person. And it limits your ability to experience someone in a new light. It's one of the reasons why so many of us love our friends so much more than our family, because our friends come in and out.
This is your family, so you should probably say, except for you, of course.
Out of our lives and experience us out in the world, and our family almost never does. Our family still experiences us as we were inside that family system, as the golden child or the troublemaker or the one that's this. And you start to resent the fact that people don't see you for your full self. And that's what this experience this past year has done with my relationship with you. And it's also why the let them theory and saying let them and saying let me is a game changer in your relationships. Because when you start to say let them, especially with family, it creates the space for you to accept someone as they are and perhaps start seeing them for who they are.
She wants to be accepted for who she is, but she does not accept her daughter. She didn't accept her until she was useful to her, again, doing something for her. Now she's accepted as a contributor, silent contributor to the book, but she's not accepted as her daughter. She hates that she crossed her arms because she was upset. She said it 50 times. She's not seeing her for who she is. She's seeing her as an asset. Oh, a pawn in the family business that she dreams about.
For the very first time. Instead of judging or wishing or managing or worrying, when you say let them, you do what everybody wants, which is you truly learn how to accept somebody instead of trying to control them. And then when you say let me, you're now cueing yourself and reminding yourself that you get to choose how you show up with this person in your life, what energy you bring, what sort of questions you ask. And when you start to focus on the energy that you bring and how you show up with the people that you think you know best, that's what creates the ripple effect that creates change.
Now she's like,
when we started working together,
hammering.
I finally understood everything that you do and everything that you have gone through in the past 25 years that I've been alive. And I just had such an overwhelming appreciation and compassion for everything that you do on a daily basis and how much stress and overload, which I am now experiencing, you experience. And it's
running a business this size.
Yes. It's
no one knows how big this business is.
It is insane. And like, I genuinely don't think Kendall, Oakley, or Dad will ever know how much you go through. And I would never know how much you go through. And everyone that is relying on you and needing your attention and needing things from you. And I think that also really helped me basically look through your frame of reference and your lens. And I think it just allowed me to have so much more compassion for you and so much more understanding and just appreciation. And once I saw like the internal side of the business and truly put myself in your shoes, I think it's only then that I was like, I need to show up differently. And I want to cheer for her. I don't want to boo her. And now I understand.
It's such an important point, and this brings me to kind of a takeaway for you listening. And it's, if you want to...
This is such, again, formulaic. It's like, okay, my daughter has something personal. Let me expand upon it for the others who I really care about. The listeners, the potential money givers.
Change the narrative or the story or the dynamic with somebody that you care about, especially if you've known them for a long time. You have to truly want to step into their shoes. And we talk about this tool called frame of reference that I learned from my friend Lisa Bilyeu at length.
Lisa Bilyeu taught you frame of reference? Okay. Did she copyright it or something? Because I do not think that Lisa Bilyeu, Tom Bilyeu's wife, came up with that word.
And how you use it with the let them theory. But I'm going to give you a couple quick examples because this is really important.
Lisa Bilyeu.
I recently heard somebody say to me, I
recently heard somebody say to me. It's a very weird way to say that.
I don't understand why my kids are upset by who we voted for in the election. And what I said to them is, I don't think you're asking the right question. Because you just said to me, I don't understand why they're upset with me. Maybe the question needs to be, I need to step into their shoes to try to understand why they might be upset with me. See, I think we stand on our side of the line and we look at somebody else and we judge them and say, well, I don't understand why they're like this. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, I wonder what it was like for my mom? I wonder what it was like.
Yeah, I thought it was let them. No wonder what it was like. It was just let them do their thing. No need to do anything else. Now it's like, envision their shoes. For you, but not for me. Let them for me. Let you envision my life and my strife. Such
for
a big business.
My sister. I wonder what it was like for my little brother. We're so consumed with our experience that we start to build a narrative around it, but we never actually even want to step in and consider. And I remember my relationship with my mom shifted immediately the second I stopped to ask myself, wonder what it was like for my mom to be 19 years old in the middle of Kansas City, married to my dad who was starting medical school. And here she has a newborn and she's working nights at the IRS. Her family is halfway across the country. It's just her and my dad who's starting medical school. She's a brand new mom. She's just got her friend. I wonder what that was like. And when you stop and step in someone else's shoes, what you realize is most people are not monsters. Most people are doing the best that they can with the resources and the life experience that they have. In the words of Dr. Ablon, people do well when they can.
I mean, I agree with that to a point, but it's also like people point stuff out to other people many, many, many times and they choose not to change it. So it's like at a certain point, you do have to cross your arms and go, there's nothing I can do. You're not changing. I've tried to tell you in my way. You're not hearing me. I'm going to now seek comfort elsewhere. So yeah, it's good to put yourself in someone's shoes, but also you still have needs as a child. So you can't be like, oh, well, my mom was stressed, so therefore I deserve to be abused. No.
And we tend to judge from our point of view, and then we sit there and cross our arms and go, I don't understand why my mom's so upset with me. I don't understand why my sister's so selfish. I don't understand why. Well,
that's
have you
dig at her
stopped and
daughter.
asked yourself, I wonder what it must be like to be that person.
Impersonation.
If I assume good intent, I wonder what that must be like. Because there's a difference between wishing someone would understand you and actually taking the time and being interested in understanding why they might think the way that they think. And when you're in a relationship with somebody, a sibling, a parent, an adult child, where you have got so much baggage built up, like you are literally pulling up to any conversation on the phone, any text message, anything. I want you to imagine you have a freaking U-Haul next to you. You got everything that's ever happened, all the death by 1,000 cuts. You're both kind of locked in this. It just takes one person to change the dynamic. But here's the thing. If you're the one that goes to therapy, if you're the one that listens to the podcast episodes, if you're the one that reads the Let Them Theory book.
Okay, the first one, yes. The last two on that list, irrelevant.
If you're the one that starts to calm yourself down and act like a more mature adult in the relationship, more loving person, if you're the one that's using the tools and you're saying, I wonder what it was like when my mom was such and such, or I wonder what it must have been like for my little sister, or I wonder what it
was like for my daughter to not have her mother at the house 200 days a year in a job that I could have done from home. I could have been a lawyer in our hometown, but I chose not to. I wonder how that could have felt for her. No. How did you should feel what I feel.
Was like for my dad. And you step into their shoes. Do not expect the other person to do the same thing. Because expecting someone else to meet you at the same level that you are now trying to learn about and meet yourself and go through life, they cannot do that unless they've done the work. And what we write about extensively in the Let Them Theory book, in fact, the book is divided into 8 sections, and one of the sections is all about how our attempts to make other people change and our expectations that they should keeps the dynamic stuck. And so the hardest part about all of this is that, yes, you can change the dynamic, no question. Absolutely. And all you need is you. You do not need the other person's participation, because your behavior and your emotional maturity is so powerful that it influences the dynamic. And if you're lucky, over time, it changes the dynamic. And I want you to think about it this way. Let's say you have a really antagonistic relationship with somebody.
I'm getting bored.
Every time you get on the phone or you see each other, it's like you both pull up in your U-Haul trailers with all the baggage.
Sponsored by U-Haul.
You both hope it goes better.
Today.
But the relationship is a lot like a tug of war. You each pick up the rope, you hook it to the U-Haul, and now you're pulling each other with all the baggage and the weight. The fastest way to win the tug of war is to actually just drop the rope. Don't play. Let them. Let them tug. Don't tug back. And what's going to happen is the person's going to tantrum. The person's going to say flippant things. Oh, is this what you learned in therapy? Is this therapy speak that you're using on me now? Let them say it. I don't know, Mom. Just tired of the tension. Really would love to have a better relationship with you, so I'm trying. Oh, let them. Because they don't know how to operate in the new dynamic yet. They're still committed to the baggage and the story. They don't know anything different. And now that you're showing up different, you're calmer. You're not pulling on the rope. You're not stabbing back. You're just showing up. You're clear that you want to shift the dynamic. Every time they say something that would normally agitate the hell out of you, just say, let them. And let me remind myself that
It's
even
not
when
good
they
for
act
you
like
long-term,
an
I don't think.
8-year-old, I'm not their parent. And it's not my job to manage this. So let them. And when you stay in your power
Again,
and
this
you
is not
continue to do it
profound to
over
me.
and over and over, the person in your life reveals how much they can meet you at this level. And you might be surprised. You know, there are people in my life that I've had antagonistic relationships with, and now that I have the
Sorry.
let them theory, and I show up very differently. And I'm calmer, and I'm more compassionate, and I'm more understanding, and I walk away the second I sniff any kind of stress or antagonism coming. I just remove myself from the conversation. The dynamic's different. As I step into someone else's shoes and I go, I wonder what it must be like to be. And I really play out the story in my mind from the other person's point of view.
No, you don't.
You know, the sibling that didn't get married, the sibling that can't get it together. Wonder what it must be like to be the one that mom and dad is supporting. That can't feel that great. Huh. You know, wow.
Is that a
I could
dig
be a little
at
bit more
your daughter?
compassionate here. Maybe it's not worth my time and energy to actually get bothered by this. Maybe I should just bathe myself in feeling sorry for somebody and a little bit more compassionate that this is what their life is like. And just let them. And let me remind
I don't
myself
get
that
it.
I'm really proud of where I'm at. And I'm proud that I'm the emotionally mature person. And what you're going to notice is it takes time. Because as you said, Sawyer, and I thought it was a beautiful thing to share, that when you were angry, you got my attention. And a lot of people in your life are angry, or they're in breakdown, or they treat you in passive aggressive ways because it gets your attention. And what does that tell you?
But what is at the root? They love root cause until it's something that they've done. What is at the root cause of she was angry to get your attention? Neglect. Right? Neglect on your part. Let them. I'm going to let you neglect me. At the end of the day, what is that? Where does that leave two people in this dynamic specifically? Separated. Feeling their own feelings on their own. Again, no intimacy in this dynamic. Is that what we want? My relationship with my mother is horrible. And I can't communicate with her at all, basically. Like, we speak ever so often. I guess the let them theory would work between her and I. It's like the gray rock, which is like, if we do interact, it is brief, it is surface level, but I'm not trying to build a relationship with her. I'm trying to manage my own emotions around her. Those are two different things. If I was trying to build a relationship with my mom, I would want to talk to her and like have frank conversations and be truthful and honest so that we could accept each other. But that's not part of it. But so we could like handle each other by the let them. But is that best case scenario? I say no. This is a coping mechanism, not a build a relationship together mechanism, in my view.
It tells you all they ever wanted was your attention. And maybe you can be the one that can close this distance because you start giving them the attention in an entirely new way. And when somebody starts to feel tended to, and they start to feel like they have a little bit more of your attention, it's kind of shocking how people change. Now, it doesn't always happen. And that's something that's important to say. Because let them doesn't change things. It creates the space for things to change. And that's why this is so powerful.
I loved the visual of the
tug of rope.
The tug of rope, because immediately what I thought was, if you put me and you on either side of the tug of rope.
Yep.
Every single time that I was mad at you, I was tugging. And every single time you would basically hold on tight and tug closer to me.
Yeah.
Because you just wanted to save me and do all this and do all that. Whenever we fight, whenever we used to argue in the past, it would be both of us tug of warring.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the let them theory, which you started implementing with me and our family way before I even knew it, I think what ended up happening is I would start to tug and you would drop the rope and I would fall down, which happens every single time. And it's not falling down in the sense of I'm less than or screw her. It's more so, oh, she's just not playing this game anymore. And I think that's what's
even
so
less
beautiful. What is so beautiful about the let them theory is you actually can't play the game of tug of war when one person isn't playing.
It takes two. And none of us want to see that we are a participant in a dynamic. And that's why it takes one person to change not only the dynamic with anyone in your life, but it takes one person to change an entire family system. And, you know, as much as you can change the dynamic with anybody, and you can improve any relationship because you can shift how you show up, you have to always remember something. There is one thing you will never be able to change, and that's another person. People only change when they feel like changing and when the conditions for changing are present. And that's important because if somebody doesn't want to change or they can't change due to some condition in their life right now, they're not going to change. And there's too many relationships.
Yeah, Mel Robbins has never slowed down to stop. She's full steam ahead and she's proud of it, which is fine. But again, like you're telling the truth on yourself. Now, the only reason that our relationship is better is because I hired you to work for my company. Because if you didn't, then I would have no time for you.
Where you're wishing someone would change and you're working against the fundamentals of human wiring.
Thanks,
which
Starry
is
Nights.
People have to feel that they are in control of their own lives.
I don't know if you're like my daughter or my young sister.
I'm spending too much time working, too much time giving.
That's Starry Night's mantra.
What do I need to believe about this so that it serves me?
That's every theory that any guru has come up with. What about this should I think of so it serves me best?
That's why they're tugging on the rope. They want your attention. They want to win. They want to be right, so they tug on the rope. When you say let them and you don't play that game, you just shifted the dynamic. And as things shift and it impacts someone else, now they have to question, if what I used to do doesn't work, maybe I should try something else. And that means you're triggering the truth about human beings, which is they only change when they feel like it.
We get it, Mel.
And if you're changing the dynamic
thought
and what has always happened and all the baggage is no longer relevant because you're not arguing over the same old crap anymore, then all of a sudden there's a lot less to argue about. And that's what creates this space that makes someone else actually want to change. Because most people are actually seeking your attention. They're seeking to feel important and seen. Mm-hmm. And they've just been going about it in very negative ways or in subconscious patterns that just don't work anymore. So, you know, in the process, Soy, of you and I really learning how to use the let them theory to create more space
the let them
for
theory.
Our relationship to change, it's really been extraordinary to get to know you in a totally different way. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about talking about this today with, you know, you as you're listening to us, is that you have no...
Who she's talking to, she's like, it's been great to get to know you, to her daughter, but she's really speaking in the next breath to you as you listen to us, to the viewers. She can't say one full sentence about her daughter. She has to bring in the viewers.
Idea what's possible in your relationships. You only know the way it's been. But I see a bigger possibility for you. There's no doubt in my mind that people in your life can change. Don't you agree, Soy?
Yes, 100%.
So we start writing the book together.
And geez.
What do you mean, and geez?
Geez, oh geez. It was not a breeze.
Oh my God, no.
Mom.
Yes.
This was
horrible.
I genuinely think if the topic of the book was not letting other people be themselves, live their lives in order for you to live your best life and for you to finally be yourself, I would not be sitting here today.
How come?
Because this book writing process brought us closer, but also was, weird.
Why?
It was hard. It was really hard.
Why would that be so hard? Why? Unless there's some dynamic that is unhealthy. Like, first of all, the whole idea is stolen. So they had a basis to build the foundation upon. Why would they are mother-daughter, why would it be so difficult to write a book that's like for 4th grade level?
You know, the let them theory and saying let them and then saying let me as a way to diffuse tension and frustration and stress in your relationships, it doesn't make anything easy. It makes it happen. As we are writing this book together, and just imagine the craziness of this. We have a mother-daughter relationship, a daughter who does not want to work for her mother, a mom who is stressed out and running this massive business, dying to be closer to you.
Oh.
We now have
the martyr. A bitch of a daughter and a mother who is a saint. What a dynamic. What am I to do, right, guys?
This project that we're working on only because you need money. And it just so happens that the project heals our relationship. Because the tool that we're writing about is a tool that brings you closer to other people by letting go of controlling them. And it forces you to let other people be themselves, which makes you see them for the first time. I said, let them with you probably 5 times a day.
I think I said it 25 times a day. And let me just paint the picture for you guys.
Okay.
So we are living together.
Which is, I would not recommend.
Do not recommend. Do a project virtually or something. But we are living together. So every single day for the entire last year, this is how it would go. We'd wake up. Hey, Mom. Hey, Soy. How are you? Oh, my gosh. You sleep well? Yeah, sleep well. Okay. Then we go to exercise together. No boundaries. Then we eat breakfast together. One of us is making the same smoothie for the both of us. Then we're in such a positive mood. We go up to the office. We sit down. And then all of a sudden, our personalities come out. Mom, her brain is the most beautiful, creative, absolute disaster tornado I've ever worked with in my entire life. She cannot make a decision. She is all over the place. And
I thought she was a genius. That all she had to do is count from 5, and then all decisions were so easy now to make. I thought she high-fived herself in the mirror, and therefore all my problems melted away. Oh, so now you're telling me that's all bullshit? Oh my God! I feel like I've been lied to.
You cannot contain her in structure. She wants to creative write for. I don't even know how you got your other 2 books done, to be completely honest.
Me either.
Plagiarism.
But she would love to creative write every single day for the rest of time. She wants no boundaries, no structure. She pretty much writes the same thing 20 times in a row.
That's the whole book. The let them theory is the let them theory, that it lets you let them let me theory. And the theory is great. And I discovered it by myself. No one helped me. The let them theory. Yeah, that's true. She's clocked her mom perfectly.
It sucks. And then I come in and all I want to do is, what is the organization? What is the structure? Give me the table of contents. Give me the outline. And I would literally set up outlines for her. Write this sentence here. Write this here. Write this. And the amount, you should see our Google Drive.
So she was very involved.
5,000 different documents because it is me creating structure, Mom not writing in it, and then her creating a whole separate document where she chooses to write everything, and then coming back to me, and then we come back together. It was, both of our brains do not work well together. And so the entire time I was trying to control her and she was trying to basically run away from me. And so every single day it would start off with us just saying let them every single time. I really had to let go of my need to put this into a structure and come up with the main points and summarize it.
Of course, she's the one that has to let go and let live. I'm going to copyright that right now. I think I just came up with it. Mel just gets to do her thing and profit, and she's got to change her style.
Just work in order of chapters. Meanwhile, we are all over the place and creative writing, and we're doing this and then we're scrapping this. We literally went through 11 manuscripts. And when I say 11 manuscripts, it's not a sentence change. It is a scrap the entire thing and rewrite from page 0 the entire manuscript. 11 of them in the last year. All of which I said, I think we're good here. I think
not
we
good
can,
enough.
And it was not good enough. I agree.
Let them.
But I literally had to say let them every single time. And so that's about 12 p.m. when we start getting hangry and annoyed. And then we eat because we both notice that we're starting to get snippy and on edge with each other. And then comes the afternoon where it can go one of two ways. Mostly one way, which is
this is very
blow
common.
Up fight, crying. You don't listen to me. You don't do this. You don't do that. And then it's a total relationship like therapy session between the two of us where we end up crying and hugging
every day
and then getting back to work. And then if it was a good day, we have a glass of wine. If it was a bad day, we have a glass of wine. And then we go to bed. And then we literally every single day, Monday through Sunday, that was our routine.
And then in between producing all these podcast episodes and giving speeches and everything. It was a lot. It was too much. And but the bigger takeaway is this, because I don't want you to
was there any acknowledgement of what you just said? Yeah, it was too much. Anyways, what I want the audience to take away from this, it's like I appreciate, I guess, that she's trying to make it relatable to other people, to give it, some value, I suppose. But again, there's like, why don't you just kind of like talk to your daughter for a second? Like she just put out a lot of stuff about this experience. No comment. Okay.
Be discouraged from ever working in a family business. And I don't want you to think that all of the tension and fighting was for naught, because the bottom line is writing a book is a colossal undertaking. Typically, you would do it in 2 years. We produced this one in 8 months. That is insane in terms of the timeline. And the only reason why it got done, it was because of you. And when you're not only dealing with somebody that you have a story about and you want to have a better relationship with, but you also have very different working styles and thinking styles, using the let them theory is a lifesaver, because every time I would say let them,
this is a
because
hard
Sawyer
sell.
was yelling at me that I was rewriting a chapter and I wasn't following the outline, and why even bother doing an outline if you're not even going to follow it? Every time
Sawyer yelled at me for, making her job work. What a bitch. I gotta hear that again. Every time Sawyer was yelling at me, it's like, aren't you the mogul millionaire? Shouldn't you be like handling like a boss babing it?
Why even bother doing an outline if you're not even going to follow it? Every time I said let them, what happened is I recognized the genius in your brain, because this is how you think. In life, there are what I call box jumpers and box steppers. So if you imagine a path, every step, A, B, C, D, E, the path leads from point A to point Z. You're the kind of person, Sawyer, that you don't need to see point Z. You know exactly what A to B to C to C to D. You are a genius. You are a box stepper. You can take any process. You can organize a structure around it. Like my brain cannot do that.
I like to soar.
It can't. Your dad is the same way. I am a different type of thinker. I am what you call a box jumper. And it
Which
is
better, just so
my
you know.
genius to stand at point A and see all the way down the line and go, oh, we're going to W. Now, I have no idea how to create a map to get there, but I know we're going to get there. And here's the problem with most of our relationships. I want Sawyer to be a box jumper. I want her to think like me. I want her to be like me. And that's why I feel frustrated and tension and like anger and resentment, because you're not like me and you don't think like me. Meanwhile, Sawyer just wishes I was a box stepper, that I could go from A to B and then B to C, and she doesn't.
Yeah, the fact that she has any stress at all just shows that all this stuff is bullshit. She's written so many books and had a million podcasts about how to de-stress and how to take control of your life and how to have the best relationships. And yet she's explaining the process of writing such a book. It's a nightmare. My brain is here. I have 20 Google documents. I don't know how to put it together. My daughter's yelling at me. We have to drink wine to be around each other. Oh yeah, we hate each other every single day. We're crying. It's hysterical. And then we continue on because there's money to be made. So you use none of your tools, is what you're saying. Not a one, because you sound like everyone else.
Understand why my brain doesn't work the way that her brain works. And I think most of us build up this invisible distance with one another because we've never learned how to say, let them. And when you say, let them, and you let somebody.
Do you ever hear, you hammered home the point, you hammered it in the nail, now it's on the other side of the wood? That's what you don't need to say let them one more time. The SEO has picked up on the concept. You got it. You nailed it. Home run.
They freak out because their brain works differently or because their expectations weren't met. Like I think a lot about, especially around the holidays or big celebrations. Of course, your family's bummed you're not coming. They love you. Shouldn't they be upset? Shouldn't they be disappointed?
Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, what's the alternative? I'm glad you're not coming because I hate you anyway. Instead of saying, oh, well, what does it actually mean if someone's disappointed? It just means they love me.
Oh.
And they just wish I were there. Doesn't mean I have to change my plans. Because two things can be true at once. Someone can be disappointed in me and still love me. And I can be kind of sad that this year I'm going to my in-laws and I'm going to miss out. But those can both be true. And what can also be true is my daughter and I can be very different thinkers. And we can be wired very differently. And through understanding and acceptance, there's room for both of us. And it's in that space where Sawyer can be frustrated because I'm yet again as an artist. I'm just an artist. That's what I am. I blow something up because I know that this isn't going to take us to W. And I can't explain to her how we're going to get to W, but I know her genius will get us there. If I can create space for your experience to be sad or emotional or mad and just let them. And then I say, well, let me
this is making
be honest with myself.
Honestly, it's making less and less sense the more she explains it because it's like everything. It actually has no meaning because it is used so frequently in this conversation that it's lost all of its relevance and interest. All right. We've gone way over. An hour over. Oh, bad. I'm kind of done. Like I think I let them be done. I'm letting them be finished. I think all the juicy stuff is in the past because all the stuff from the intro is already done. Let them wrap it up, and let me go to sleep. Let me sleep. Let you go back to talking into your microphone.
I'm gonna stomp you.
Well, I'm sorry I broke my rule, but this was pretty juicy at one point, so I was very much enjoying it. I hope you did as well. Mel Robbins is pretty bitchy. I mean, I already knew that sort of, but like her daughter's pretty cool, I think. I mean, I feel like she reminds me of myself in a lot of ways. Yeah, like willing to, I really as a child handled things badly. That I can admit that about myself. And then over time, thanks to therapy, I'm like, wait, I was 6. What am I talking about? when I was 6, I should have had conflict resolution better with my mom, and that's on me. And my mom's like, yeah, I told you when you were in kindergarten that you were going to be a bitch of a daughter, and here you are. Thank you for coming to that realization. That's when I was 25. That's how I did think. I was like, oh, I really need to take responsibility for what I did as a kid, which is needing things. Anyways, so I see myself in her. I think probably in 5-10 years, she'll be hosting a podcast of her own, talking about, you know, their non-talking relationship, their no contact relationship, and I'll be enjoying hearing about it. All right, I'll be back next Thursday for another riveting, exciting, wonderful experience. And I'm going to let them come and subscribe and join the membership and yaddy daddy da. Let them lemons. That is more helpful than anything I've heard thus far today. And shout out to Cassie, who wrote the original Let Them theory and got left out of the whole conversation. And shout out to Sawyer, who also got kicked off of the cover of the book. We're all just living in Mel Robbins' world, I guess. I also looked into, I know I talked about this last week if you were here, welcome back, doing a video about David Goggins. So I watched several David Goggins videos. He is crazy, man. He is a masochist is what I've come to the conclusion on. He likes to be in pain constantly, probably to avoid his feelings. It's what it seems like. And I'm like, oh, that's the advice. Ignore your feelings through physical pain. Don't think that's super healthy. So we'll talk about that maybe next week. I don't know if I have enough content for a full show. I guess so. We could just watch a couple podcasts or one, decent one. But that's the general summary of David Goggins I've come to, is he screams and yells and is angry and really likes to be beat up. And he beats himself up because he can't deal with his, childhood issues, so it seems. So if you're wondering my take on it, as a general statement, that is it. All right, I'm going to sing my song and go to sleep. Actually, I'm going to take a tubby. I'm going to take a tubby before I go to sleep. That's my little secret. Now you know. And then I'm going to go to bed. Okay, goodbye. Oops. I clicked the wrong button. And now I click the right button. Starry Nights, thank you for those memberships. You're all right. You really did everyone a solid. Nicole Campbell, you're just too hot to handle. Oh yeah, my jury duty story. I forgot to tell y'all. I'll tell you again in this part of the song. A console. I went to jury duty twice, once in 2018. Again. 2018, I went to jury duty. It was a woman who was accused of stalking her neighbor in a condo building. It was a little confusing, and she represented herself. It was crazy. It took 5 whole days to hear the testimony, and the victim had to be questioned by the perpetrator, which was super, super awkward. And she asked her questions like, where do you sleep at night? Do you sleep next to your husband? And if not, tell us why. It was really, really weird. Chels Marie, that is my story. Guess what else she did? Alaska Blue Tundra. You don't even know what else happened under that courtroom lights. I'll finish. So, ironically, the lady who was arrested was a Zumba instructor, and she thought that her neighbor was trying to kill her through using weapons of mass destruction. No, I'm not kidding. So, in retaliation, she started harassing her neighbor by throwing weights on the floor and putting subwoofers on her roof and blasting music to try to drown out the mass weapon that she thought was being used against her. And yeah, that's the gist of it. But because the neighbor already had a restraining order against her from a prior incident, then we had to judge whether the woman's harassment counted as breaking the restraining order. Guess what the answer was? Guilty, 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 guilty. That's what she was. To us, we found her guilty within like 1 hour of deliberating, because it was super obvious. And the reason that it was super obvious is because she had video of herself committing the harassment. That was part of the evidence on day 1. Anyways, I got to learn a lot about acoustic weapons. Yes, apparently it's real. In Cuba and in Nazi Germany, they could use sound waves at a certain frequency to be able to hurt people. You'd have to have a weapon the size of a building, though, which this woman did not have in her condo. So they brought in experts to tell us it was impossible. Possible at a large scale, impossible in a condo building. Carasota, what do you think? Would you have voted guilty or innocent? Would you like to have seen the video of this woman throwing weights at her floor and blasting music all night long? Lisa B, that was my first jury story. I have 2. Lillian Massey. The second one was much more sad and serious. Chris Johnson. I got a tale to tell. Again, though, it's pretty sad. But no one died in this one either. At least in the case that we were covering specifically. Rob Sheehan. We learned later that he had already been convicted of murder once in the past. Rebeled Fuentes. Rebelled Fuentes. This is the last part of my story. Jury duty number 2. So this happened like 4 months ago. I got called back and I actually ran into one of my coworkers, which was crazy because that never happens. So we got to sit together in the first part at least. So then we found out that it was attempted murder because of a robbery. And the guy who we found guilty ultimately, he only stole like $4 in coins and he fled. The cops found him with a gun and it matched the gun that the other guy was shot with. But he survived. But then he also went to jail for a charge that was unrelated to something going on with the case. But when he came to testify, he was found that he had a warrant, so they had to delay the trial by 1 day. Rough. And this all happened behind a Tires Plus, where all good shootings happen. Okay, that's the story. Hope it was interesting. Have a great night. Goodbye.